with unease. He was thrilled because this method would significantly enhance Tang's military capabilities. But he was uneasy because his family's steel business might suffer catastrophic losses, perhaps even total collapse. Many of the military officers were flushed with excitement. Refined steel, old Cheng, it is refined steel. Yu Qijingde grabbed Cheng Yaojin's shoulders and shook him vigorously, emotionally exclaiming, with refined steel, every soldier under our command can be equipped with weapons and armor forged from it. Cheng Yaojin, his flab jiggling from the shaking, pushed Yu Qigong away and said with a pout, "Look at you, getting so excited, what kind of behavior is that? Are you not excited?" Cheng Yaojin grinned widely, then grabbed Yu Qigong's shoulders and shook him furiously. "Old hey, refined steel. With refined steel, every soldier under our command can be armed and armored with it." Yu Qigong rolled his eyes and shoved him off. "Spare me. Heavens, 3 men can forge 100 gene of refined steel in a single day? What kind of miraculous speed is this? Heaven blesses great Tang. If 3 men can forge 100 gene, then 300 men could forge tens of thousands of gene in a day. With this method, within a year, great Tang can avenge the humiliation of the Bian Bridge." Leading the military officials, Li Jing stepped forward, gripping the ceremonial scepter, his eyes slightly red. He suppressed his excitement and spoke in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, please order the Armaments Bureau to forge weapons day and night. I can no longer wait to avenge the humiliation of Bema." The disgrace of the White Horse at Bian Bridge by the Weha River last year remained a lasting stain for all Tang people. The Turks dispatched an army of 100,000, advancing to the Weishui River and threatening Chang'an. Li Er personally led all available forces from Chang'an, including city guards, imperial troops, and county militias, totaling fewer than 10,000. How could they stand against Jieli's 100,000 cavalry? At Bian Bridge, a white horse was sacrificed in a treaty ritual, and from then on, massive tributes of gold and silver had to be paid annually to the Turks. This was a humiliation to every military officer. Li Er, hearing this, also had reddened eyes. He said solemnly, "Li Jing, now is not yet the time to wage war against the Turks. But with Master Qing's refined steel method, within 3 years, we will wipe away this shame." Li Jing also knew that it was not yet time to engage the Turks. In the early Zhenguan years, there were internal and external troubles. In Shuafeng, the rebel Liang Shidu had proclaimed himself king. In Longyu, raiders and Chang tribes were burning, killing, and looting, and in Liaodong, barbaric Goguryeo threatened. To defeat the Turks, domestic threats must first be eliminated. Li Jing cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, Master Qing has provided the refined steel method to strengthen our national military. This merit is clearly of the highest order. I have never involved myself in civil court affairs, but now I must say, Master Qing's contribution is immeasurable. Your Majesty, Duke Wei speaks the truth. I second that." "I second it as well." As the generals one by one voiced their support, Li Er could not conceal his joy. He immediately bent over to write an imperial decree. After completing the first edict, Li Er read aloud, "Qing Xiu, Baron of Lantian County, has created the plow, reducing the people's farming hardship tenfold. For this great merit, he is awarded 1,000 strings of silver and elevated to Viscount of Lantian County with a fief of 300 households." He casually handed the decree to Wang De. "Wang De, have a herald proclaim the edict in Sanha village." Wang De immediately found several heralds to set out. After an incense stick's time, Li Er wrote the second decree. He unfolded it and read, "Qing Xiu, Viscount of Lantian County, has improved papermaking and invented movable type printing. These achievements will benefit the state and people for generations. For these twin merits, he is awarded 5,000 strings of silver and promoted to Count of Lantian County with a fief of 1,000 households. Wang De, send the heralds." Wang De again gathered heralds to deliver the decree. Next came the third decree. After a moment's hesitation, Li Er read aloud, "Qing Xiu, Count of Lantian County, has presented the refined steel method, strengthening our military might. He is hereby granted the title of Marquis of Lantian County with a fief of 10,000 households, to be hereditary for 3 generations." A fief of 10,000 households? Hereditary for 3 generations? The officials' expressions all changed simultaneously. They were stunned by Li Er's generous reward. Gasp, "A Marquis of 10,000 households? This is the first Marquis of 10,000 households since the founding of Great Tang, is it not? This Master Qing is truly honored. Papermaking, movable type printing, refined steel, which of these is not a monumental merit? He deserves the title. We who are dukes at most enjoy 3,000 households. A single marquis is granted 10,000? This Wei Jing suddenly stepped forward, frowning. Your Majesty, do you not think the reward is too generous? Master Qing's merit is great indeed, but a marquis of 10,000 households and 3-generation hereditary title, this exceeds proper bounds and violates the norms of propriety. The censors of the imperial censorate all jumped out as well. Your Majesty, Lord Wei is right. Such excessive reward defies ritual norms. Your Majesty, many founding elders with countless military achievements were only granted 1,000 households. Master Qing's merit is great, but even a marquisate is already an immense honor, let alone 10,000 households and a hereditary title. Please reconsider, Your Majesty. Li Jing angrily rebuked them. Why are you all so bitter? The refined steel method produces 10,000 jin per day. Within a year, every soldier of Great Tang can be fully equipped. Our army's strength will multiply manyfold. Such a world-shaking merit, what is wrong with a hereditary marquisate of 10,000 households? Humph, behind him, Cheng Yaojin scoffed. Wei Zheng, mind your own people. All you do is gripe and envy. If you are so capable, go earn such merit yourselves. Prince Hejian, Li Shaogong, thought for a moment and said, even if the refined steel is not used for the military, it can be used to mass-produce agricultural tools. This method strengthens the nation and benefits the people. Such merit deserves the marquisate. Li Er frowned. Censorate, no more discussion. My will is firm. Wang De, prepare a herald to issue the edict. After speaking, Li Er stood and left for the rear palace. Clearly, he was ending court. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Your Majesty, this reward is too much. We must not set this precedent. Your Majesty. Wei Jing shouted a few more times, but Li Er had already vanished. The general strutted proudly. Ha, court is over. I shall head to Sanha village personally to thank Master Qing for the refined steel method. Refined steel weapons will enhance combat power, refined steel armor will reduce injuries. I must express my gratitude in person. A competent general must be strict with military discipline yet love his soldiers like sons, to gain respect in the ranks. Duke Lu is absolutely right. I shall go with you. Li Jing stroked his beard. How could I be left out? I shall go too. Assemble outside the city. I shall go as well. Li Shaogong laughed heartily and joined Cheng Yaojin's group. I am coming too. Old Cheng, do not leave me behind. Yu Qigong grinned. Cheng Yaojin laughed. Together, but we must be discreet. We must not scare Master Qing. Master Qing is a man of such great talent. How could he be frightened by us? Old Yuqi was puzzled. Li Shaogong smirked. Yuqi, Cheng meant you, you ugly bastard. Yu Qigong's face darkened further. He grabbed Li Shaogong's collar and shouted, Prince Hejian, say that again if you dare. Li Shaogong retorted righteously, was I wrong? Everyone, be honest, was I wrong? Oh yes, absolutely right. Prince Hejian speaks the truth. Old Yuqi, he called you ugly and you can endure that? Well, I cannot. Ouch! Li Shaogong cried, clutching his eye, now blackened from a punch. Thus began a chase between a prince and a duke, from the palace to the outer gates. Realizing he could not catch him, Li Shaogong huffed angrily and left. Meanwhile, 10 li outside the city, 4 or 5 dozen retainers on horseback encircled a youth of 17 or 18. He rode in the center, eyes cold, his hawk-like gaze sweeping over 3 other youths. He spoke slowly, Do Kuei, Xiaochong, Shanglia, Huayu, are all the retainers assembled? Do Kuei cupped his hands and said, Elder cousin, all are present. With such a display, will you now tell us what this is about? Elder cousin Do Xiaojian said gravely, our great-grandfather was stripped of rank and office for dereliction. Uncle Fengjie was also exiled to Lingnan for embezzling land deeds. This is a major blow to the Do family, you all know this clearly. Do Kuei, Do Xiaochong, Do Shanglia, and Do Huayu all wore dark expressions. Do Xiaojian's lips curled with cold disdain. Why has the Do family flourished? Because we stand united, support each other, that is our foundation. Our clan was instrumental in founding Great Tang. Now His Majesty strips our great-grandfather of rank, he clearly seeks to purge our family. We have always been loyal. Yet for one mistake, he reacts so harshly. Is he not afraid of alienating us? In recent years, our great-grandfather has done much for the family. He does not deserve this end. We all understand the principle of shared fate. We cannot sit idle, we must show His Majesty that the Do family is not to be trifled with. Do Kuei said darkly, brother, we all understand. But at the root, it was that blind Master Qing who caused this. If not for his letter, great-grandfather and Uncle Fengjie would not have fallen. Is this about that blind man? The youngest, Do Huayu, looked worried. Brother, we are bringing more than 200 retainers. If someone accuses us of rebellion, we might not survive the fallout. Dokue snapped, Why, what nonsense are you spouting? These are household retainers, not soldiers. The laws allow nobles to keep dozens to hundreds of retainers. Who dares accuse us of rebellion? Do Shanglia laughed. Indeed, all 4 of our homes were robbed last night. We are just bringing our retainers to catch thieves. If His Majesty interferes, he would be overstepping. Dokue asked, Brother, what exactly are we doing? Do Xiaojian sneered. Kill the blind man to send a message. Show the world what happens to those who oppose the Do family. Dokue gasped. Brother, he is a titled noble. If we kill him outright, how will our elders explain this to His Majesty? I heard even the retired emperor resides in his fief. If blame falls, it will get worse. Do Xiaojian laughed. I jest, who said anything about killing him outright? He is a baron granted by His Majesty. Killing him in broad daylight would be a direct slap to the emperor's face. But if the blind man cannot see and accidentally stumbles into our path while we are catching thieves, trampled to death, or his legs broken, well, that is not our fault. Haha, brilliant, brother. Do Xiaojian swept his gaze across the group and raised his hand. Move out, Sanha village. Over 200 retainers galloped swiftly toward Sanha village in a thunderous procession. Several days had passed since the midsummer poetry gathering, and the few exceptionally refined poems composed there had already spread widely throughout literary circles. As a result, Qing Xiu had quickly gained a group of devoted admirers, young men and women who worshipped literary talent. For several consecutive days, many talented Confucian scholars and gifted young ladies had come to Sanha village to visit him. Without exception, none were able to catch even a glimpse of his face. Still, that did not deter these literati from strolling around the outskirts of Sanha village. One reason was that the village was exceptionally well built and paid great attention to culture and cleanliness, making it a favorite among scholars. Another, more important reason was the flourishing local market. The number of merchants setting up stalls had grown day by day, stretching from the eastern to the western end of the village. Every day bustled with life and excitement. A carriage slowly arrived and stopped at the eastern edge of Sanha village. The elderly coachman turned and said, Miss, we have arrived at Sanha village. Yen Yushir lifted the curtain and glanced outside, immediately drawn to the lively scene before her. Maid Xiaotsue exclaimed in surprise, Miss, when we last came here, the place was run down. Who would have thought that in just a few months, it would become so prosperous, almost on par with Chang'an's western market? Yen Yushir gently nodded and admired, it is indeed thriving. Red bricks and green tiles are everywhere. Is this really his fief? Since many young ladies from noble families had visited recently, a single carriage did not attract much attention. Yen Yushir came to Sanha village because of curiosity, and because she wanted to see the man who had written the bold verse, the great rock rises with the wind in a single day, soaring 90,000 miles. She stepped out of the carriage, adjusted her light green dress, her slender waist cinched by a floating sash. Her white embroidered shoes bore peony designs. Her curved brows resembled crescent moons, her almond eyes shone like stars, her lips were delicate, her skin like warm jade, her beauty was striking. Yen Yushir took a piece of broken silver from her pouch and handed it to the coachman. Uncle Zhang, feel free to buy yourself some food and wine. Xiaotsue and I will walk around the estate and return in half an hour. Very well, Mississippi. Uncle Zhang took the silver and began looking around for a tavern. Yen Yushir and Xiaotsue wandered into the estate. Xiaotsue whispered, Miss, Sanha village now has several hundred households. If we just stroll around like this, we definitely will not bump into Master Qing. Why not ask someone where his house is? Yen Yushir shook her head. There is no justifiable reason for me to seek him out. I only came to try my luck at seeing him, and to learn more about his character. Then shall I go ask someone? Yen Yushir thought for a moment, then nodded. Xiaotsue approached an elderly woman with silver hair selling pine needle water at her stall. Granny, may I ask if this is Master Qing's fief? The old woman looked up and saw two noble young ladies. Her face warmed with a kind smile. If you are looking for Master Qing, I suggest you return. In recent days, many young noblewomen have come seeking him, but all have been turned away. Coming here will be in vain. Yen Yushir asked in confusion, so many people have come to see Master Qing? The old woman laughed. Oh yes. My grandson Ergu says that ever since Master Qing won first place in the poetry contest, many visitors come daily hoping to meet him. But Master Qing is far too busy to meet everyone. He has simply stopped receiving guests. Yen Yushir asked curiously, he does not hold any official post in the court. What could keep him so busy? What is he doing? Grandmother's son replied with pride, of course he is busy creating ways for us villagers to earn a living. My grandson Ergu is one of his personal guards, an honor indeed. Master Qing treats the families of his guards very well. I only get to sell pine needle water thanks to Ergu's position. Look over there, Miss Qian's cold noodles, Aunt Xuanzi's meat buns, Old Chen the cripple's crispy pork, Old Lu's grilled skewers, all these business ventures were arranged by Master Qing. Since Master Qing came to Sanha village, every household now lives in brick-tile houses. He made sure each family had a way to earn a living. The least anyone makes is 2 silver taels a month, some make 8 or 10. Yen Yushir widened her eyes in astonishment, glancing around at the red brick, green tile houses. Are you saying Master Qing built all these for you? Granny Sun beamed with pride. Indeed. Master Qing used his own silver to build them. My family even erected a longevity tablet in his honor. All of these? Yen Yushir asked in disbelief. Granny Sun grinned so widely her teeth nearly vanished. Every single one. All the brick tile houses you see were built by Master Qing. Now, everyone lives a good life, all thanks to him. My favorite thing to do is to persuade neighbors to set up longevity tablets for Master Qing. Now, over 100 households honor him with one. He tried to refuse, but we said it is our business, not his. At this point, Granny Sun's wrinkled face shone with genuine happiness. Good heavens, Yen Yushir murmured. She could hardly believe that one person had built homes for the entire village out of his own pocket. And not just that, he even created livelihoods for them. Could such a person truly exist? Biting her lip, Yen Yushir continued deeper into the village with Xiaotsue. They asked several more stall owners, all of whom praised Master Qing to the skies. Yen Yushir became convinced that their words were true. In short, whenever anyone in the village mentioned Master Qing, it was with a thumbs up and heartfelt admiration. If this was merely performance, it could not possibly achieve such universal praise. Just then, from the eastern end of the village came the sound of galloping hooves like rolling thunder. The thunderous clamor entered the village. Even the ground seemed to tremble. The once bustling market instantly fell silent. Everyone instinctively turned toward the eastern end of the village. They saw dozens of well-dressed young noblemen, followed by more than 200 armored riders. The riders wore 4 different colors: black, dark gray, navy blue, and deep red. Dokue rode forward, surprised. Brother, how did Sanha village become like this? I remember it being a desolate place. In such a short time, it has become so prosperous. Do Shanglia frowned. Indeed. The change is too drastic. For a village to thrive to this extent is hard to comprehend. Do Xiaojian showed no expression. That does not matter. Shanglia, go find a peasant and ask where the blind man lives. Just as Do Shanglia was about to dismount, a tall old man stepped out from a nearby courtyard. Li Tiecheng's face showed vigilance. He scanned the group and stepped forward, cupping his hands. I am Li Taicheng, village chief of Sanha village. Gentlemen, what is the purpose of such an imposing arrival? Dokue leaned forward over his horse's neck and sneered. A mere village chief dares speak with such backbone? What gives you the nerve? Let me tell you, even the county magistrate must wear a smile in our presence. You have some balls. Li Taicheng narrowed his eyes, speaking firmly yet politely. Judging from your tone, it seems your visit is not a friendly one? Bastard. Dokue barked and raised his whip. But Li Taicheng easily dodged the blow. You dare to dodge? Dokue's eyes widened in fury as he prepared to strike again, only to have his arm restrained by Do Xiaojian. Do Xiaojian sat tall on his horse and looked down at him. Chief Li, we are here to find the blind man named Qing. This has nothing to do with the villagers. Have them clear the way. If they are trampled and injured, or killed, it will be their own fault. Nearby villagers, upon hearing this, were outraged but dared not speak. Some timid ones moved aside. But a few brave souls stood their ground. A dozen even stepped forward. These were retired soldiers not selected as personal guards. They could already tell from the noble's words that they had come looking for trouble with Master Qing. In a corner of the village, Li Yuan sat upon a small folding stool, his face clouded as he watched the scene unfolding not far away. He murmured to himself, how did it come to this? How could it have come to such a place? Did the Do clan not live comfortably enough? They had to come here making trouble. What am I to do? Beside him, Li Tai wore a furious expression. Grandfather, I remember seeing them at the ancestral temple months ago. They are relatives of uncle. They have come here surely to cause trouble for Master Qing. Grandfather, let us step in and stop their wrongdoing. Li Yuan's face gradually darkened. After a long silence he shook his head. Now is not the time. Xiaojian, Xiaochong, Xiaokuer, Shanglia, Huayu, these pups have come here with ill intent. If we stop them now, what if next time they find Master Qing somewhere without us to defend him? Li Tai's face flushed with indignation. This is too much. Do they even respect the laws anymore? I will certainly inform my father. Li Yuan's expression turned deeply displeased. They dare come here because they think I do not matter. These grandchildren think they have grown wings. Qingke, we shall not intervene. Let them make a scene. When it becomes uncontrollable, all the better. A bunch of stubborn fools, sooner or later the Dou family will ruin themselves. Li Tai's anxiety subsided, and he and Li Yuan settled into the corner as mere observers of the spectacle. Dou Xiaojian glared at the villagers standing in the road and sneered at Li Taicheng. You, a mere village chief, a ninth-rank official at best, are still higher than several of us in rank. But in my eyes, you are no different from these unruly villagers. Li Tiecheng's expression shifted and he replied in surprise, You are, the Dou family? Scared? Dou Kuei sneered while pointing at the villagers behind Li Taicheng. We are all Dou clan members. Last night, our home was robbed. We heard thieves fled into Sanha village. We are here to catch them. Clear the road, or you will be treated as criminal accomplices and face imprisonment. If you do not wish to go to jail, step aside. In a steady voice, Li Taicheng responded, So what if you are the Dou clan? In Sanha village, the people are honest and upright. They do not steal. There is no such thief here. If you merely wish to rest here, I might ignore you. But the village code prohibits riding horses or dismounting. No one enters unless they obey. Behind Dou Xiaojian stood Dou Shanglia, who glared in anger and drew his sword with a metallic flash. Pointing his blade at Li Taicheng, he declared, You old thief, I see you are determined to be part of the criminal gang. I will kill you to uphold the law. Shanglia. Dou Xiaojian frowned and sharply interrupted. Dou Shanglia replied angrily, Brother, let me cut down this unrepentant old thief. We came to catch thieves, he blocks our way. He is clearly part of the gang. In a low voice, Dou Xiaojian cautioned, A lie, think. Uncle has lived here long. This man is bold because he believes under my uncle's protection. If you kill him and uncle learns of it, it will be disastrous. Dou Shanglia's arrogance receded, and his tone softened. What do you think should be done, brother? Dou Xiaojian stared ahead, gaze hardened, and bit his lip. We pursue thieves to this point. Anyone blocking the road is part of the thieves. Everyone prepare to charge. Li Tiecheng's eyes flashed. He shouted, You dare? Anyone who harms my villagers will face death. A fierce aura radiated from Li Taicheng. Even the lead horses shied backward with unease. The villagers, too, grew rowdily angry. These princely brats clearly came to cause trouble. I just heard they came looking for the blind Mr. Qing. Our nobleman's surname is Qing, and he is blind, he must be the target. The visitors are unkind-hearted. They definitely mean trouble for Master Qing. They are arrogant fools who came to bully Master Qing at his own estate. Totally unreasonable. How he helped us build brick houses and gave us livelihoods, he is our village's benefactor. If anyone dares bully him, I will not stand for it. Row after row of masons, clutching iron shovels and trowels, red-faced and throats tight with rage, surged forward. Their eyes blazed. Some held bricks ready to hurl. Even the local women began shouting, picking up broken bricks, carrying iron pans or large ladles. Within moments, more than a dozen masons and women blocked the road. From a distance, Li Yuan watched in awe, murmuring, Truly, when the people's hearts align, nothing is unbeatable. Now I understand fully what water can carry a boat or overturn it really means, the people's yearning. At the rear of the crowd, Yan Yushi and Xiaocui were pale with fright. Initially calm, now they could not steady their composure. Seeing how the estate's people fiercely defended Master Qing, both were surprised. They knew Master Qing had prestige and popularity, but not that it had reached the point where people would risk their lives for him. What kind of personal magnetism must this be? Yan Yushi's gaze burned. She now felt even more compelled to catch a glimpse of this blind man. The villagers' roaring anger had unsettled the horses of the Dou mounted entourage. Dou Xiaojian and the others' pupils contracted with alarm. Master Qing has come. Master Qing has come. Truly, Master Qing is here. Someone shouted, and the crowd parted to form a path. Qing Xiu, his eyes covered with black silk, tapped his blind cane steadily and walked through, followed by Su Xiaochun and Yunyang. Blankets of silence fell as he passed. Yan Yushi's heart trembled, she jostled forward to peer. Even though his face was covered, she could sense extraordinary elegance, a resolute and hardened visage as if carved by blade, a soft faint smile playing on his jaw. Even the woman behind him remained serene, though the buxom Yunyang showed a slight tension. Yan Yushi stared at the blind man passing. He seemed to sense her gaze, turned slightly, and his soft smile deepened. Flustered, she hastily looked aside, a blush blooming on her cheeks. Only after Qing Xiu had passed far did she return her gaze, angry at herself. He could not see her, yet she was intimidated enough to look away. How worthless she thought herself. He is Master Qing, so handsome, one wealthy young lady whispered candidly from the crowd. So he is blind, and yet so beautiful. If he were not blind, he would be a true handsome man. I finally see Master Qing. I love his poems, especially Breaking the Frontier. The alternating meter is unprecedented. By then, Qing Xiu had approached within a dozen steps of the mounted group. He planted his cane upon the ground, left hand gripping it firmly, while his right rested upon the sword hilt beneath his cloak, an assured pose, ready for swift action. You are Qing Xiu? Dou Xiaojian asked, his eyes filled with cold intent as he carefully scrutinized Qing Xiu. Qing Xiu lowered his head slightly, his voice calm. I am Qing Xiu. Who are you? What business brings you to my estate? Dou Xiaojian replied with a mocking smile. There was a theft in our household. The thief fled to this area. We are here to catch the criminal. Qing Xiu responded in a flat tone. The people of this village are honest and upright. There is no thief here as you claim. Please leave. Dou Kuei sneered. It is not up to you to decide whether there are thieves or not. That is for us to determine. We will search house by house to be certain. Blind man, tell these unruly villagers on your land to step aside. Do not obstruct us. Unruly villagers, what an insult that was. The gentle smile on Qing Xiu's face disappeared. He lifted his blind cane and struck the ground hard, drawing a line. In a soft voice, he said, Uncle Li, Old Saber, let this be the boundary. If anyone crosses it, kill them. If they all cross it, leave none alive. If trouble arises, I will take full responsibility. In short, any who bear their fangs, I will break their teeth. Though spoken softly, even gently, the words echoed through the entire crowd, each syllable ringing with power. The villagers were all stunned, their gazes toward Qing Xiu now carried an added weight of reverence. What does it mean to say the most domineering words in the calmest tone? This was a living example. Many villagers wore expressions of excitement and admiration. The scholars and ladies who had come in admiration of his poetry stood dumbfounded, their eyes wide in shock. They had come to pay homage to his literary talent, only to witness this decisive and fearsome side of Mr. Qing. How could they not be astonished? Let it be known that these intruders were no ordinary men. They were second-generation scions of the Dou family, royal relatives, the maternal kin of the emperor himself. These noble daughters and Confucian scholars could not be unaware of the Dou family's status. If the Dou family wished it, they could determine life or death for most people. In a corner, Li Yuan's eyes lit up as he slapped his thigh and laughed quietly. Good lad, any who bear their fangs, I will break their teeth. How perfectly phrased. Li Tai was so excited that his little face turned bright red. At that moment, he saw his teacher shrouded in divine light, bursting with unmatched charisma. Behind the crowd, the noble daughter of the Yan family trembled both in spirit and body, even feeling a touch of fear. Dear heavens, more than 200 people. If they were all killed, would not the blood run from one end of the village to the other? Dou Xiaojian's pupils contracted, his eyes suddenly wide. Even the cousins behind him stared at the blind man in disbelief. Ha ha ha. Old Saber drew his tang blade, laughing thunderously. What a fine line, break the teeth of the biter. Master, rest assured, if anyone dares cross this line, I will cut off his head and use it as a stool for you. With that, he hoisted the blade to his shoulder, stepped forward, and stood just behind the line. His gaze swept arrogantly, none other could match him. Come on, cross this line if you dare. In my youth, I killed countless men. This blade has not tasted blood for 7 or 8 years. Today, I will use you little bastards for practice. Old Saber truly had killed, and not just once. He had once served as Li Yuan's personal bodyguard. How could his hands be clean? Dozens of lives were a conservative estimate. The moment his blade was raised, his demeanor made it clear, he feared no one, and he exuded murderous energy. Li Taiqing also rolled up his sleeves and flicked them lightly, producing a sharp tearing sound as the wind split around him. Though he said nothing, merely standing there like a small mountain, he exuded a terrifying pressure. That one flick of his sleeve made the Dou family's guards turn pale. How could they not see that this seemingly old brute was a true warrior? Dou Xiaojian glared at Qing Xiu. Blind man, you are merely a county baron. Who gave you the guts to act so arrogantly? Qing Xiu casually picked at his ear and said, I am not only blind, I am deaf. I cannot hear your dog barking. If you have the balls, cross the line and say it to my face. You really think I do not dare? Dou Xiaojian spurred his horse forward to cross the line, but his eyes never left Li Taiqing and Old Saber. Just as the horse's hooves were about to cross the line, he suddenly pulled the reins. His face twisted with uncertainty, and even flushed slightly red. He had lost face. He truly did not dare. Why did you stop? Qing Xiu asked coolly. Dou Xiaojian's face twitched, and he suddenly sneered. the blood of the Dou family is far too noble to be spilled here. If these two lowborn curs truly kill me, even if their entire families pay with their lives, I still lose. You really think I will fall for your trick? At that moment, Old Saber stepped forward, and his blade fell. Thud, the horse's head dropped to the ground with a sickening sound. Blood sprayed over 10 meters, splattering many people and prompting a chorus of screams. The headless horse crumpled on the spot. If Dou Xiaojian had not once been a soldier, he might have been crushed beneath it. You killed my horse? Dou Xiaojian was both shocked and furious. Bastard! Old fool, you dare kill my brother's horse? Outrageous! You filthy commoner, how dare you? Old Saber coldly replied, your horse's head crossed the line. Dou Xiaojian turned and roared, charge! Charge, damn it! Anyone who blocks the road, trample them to death. A mere county baron dares defy heaven. Whoever kills that horse-killing old bastard, I will reward with 1,000 taels of silver. Generous rewards beget brave men. The Dou family's guards were already eager to act. But just then, a sharp voice rang out from the rear of the cavalry, imperial decree arriving. Everyone was stunned. What? An imperial edict, at this very moment? Dou Xiaojian's face changed, a trace of panic flickering across it. Dismount, everyone dismount and clear the road. None dared block the path of a royal envoy. This was the symbol of the supreme authority of the Great Tang. Not only must the path be cleared, everyone must also perform full ceremonial respect when receiving the decree. All the guards dismounted and parted to form a road. Dou Kuei whispered in worry, brother, His Majesty's decree has arrived. Could he know we are making trouble here, or, catching thieves? Dou Xiaojian's face darkened. We will find out soon. A eunuch, accompanied by several guards, strode quickly forward, casting curious glances around. When he saw a headless horse still twitching on the ground, the eunuch started in alarm and pointed, What is this? Whose headless horse dares block the imperial envoy? Old Saber pointed mockingly at Dou Xiaojian. His. The envoy glanced at Dou Xiaojian and instantly softened his tone, so it is Lord Dou. Please remove your headless horse. I come bearing the emperor's decree. If something were to happen. Lord Dou, I trust one need say no more. Dou Xiaojian quickly ordered the carcass dragged away. Only then did the envoy ask, where is Baron Qingxiu of Lantian County? Qingxiu planted his blind cane before him, clasped his hands, but said nothing. The envoy smiled and said, Baron Qingxiu of Lantian County, receive the imperial decree. By order of His Majesty of the Great Tang, Baron Qingxiu of Lantian is hereby granted the title of Viscount of Lantian, awarded 1,000 gold coins, and entitled to 300 households. Qingxiu receives the decree. Qingxiu said calmly, took the decree, and the envoy left to report back. Dou Xiaojian sneered, no wonder you act so boldly, you have earned great merit. But do you think that a mere Viscount title will stop me? All men, prepare, mount up and charge. But just as his voice fell, a sharp cry rang out again, imperial decree arriving. Everyone was dumbfounded, including the Dou clan members. Another decree? Dou Xiaojian pulled Dou Kuei aside, irritated. This envoy frowned at the blood on the ground, said nothing, and opened the decree, by order of the Emperor of the Great Tang, Baron Qingxiu of Lantian, for his improvements in papermaking, is hereby granted the title of Earl of Lantian, awarded 5,000 gold coins, and entitled to 1,000 households. Qingxiu also received this decree with puzzlement, then sent the envoy off. Dou Xiaojian took a deep breath and returned to his original spot. He forced a cold smile. You really are something. You improved papermaking and even came up with some damned movable type printing technique. Some petty tricks and the emperor actually made you an earl? Heh. I will say it again. A mere earl, I, of the Dou family, do not care. Imperial decree arriving. A third piercing voice filled the air. The villagers of Sanha stood stunned, unable to believe their ears. The sons of the Dou family turned pale. Another one? Li Yuan muttered, what the hell is that brat up to, 3 imperial edicts in a row? Dou Xiaojian and his younger cousins all twitched and stepped aside with twitching mouths. The envoy unrolled the decree and began to read, by order of the Emperor of the Great Tang, Baron Qingxiu of Lantian, for submitting a steelmaking method, with daily output of 1 gene by 3 men, has rendered great service. He is hereby granted the title of Marquis of Lantian, inheritable for 3 generations, and entitled to 10,000 households. The Dou clan sons trembled from head to toe, they were utterly dumbfounded. Damn it to hell. Qingxiu cursed inwardly. That bastardling heir really pulled a masterstroke, actually maneuvering him into putting on such an earth-shattering show. Truly, well fucking done. Dou Kuei's face had turned pale. Tugging at Dou Xiaojian's sleeve, he stammered, "Big brother, a marquis with 10,000 households. What kind of honor is that?" Dou Huayu looked terrified, whispering, "Big brother, we should just back off. Let us regroup and reconsider later." "Yes, big brother, he is a marquis of 10,000 households. My father is not even dead yet, and I have not inherited my title. I am a commoner, and he is already a 10,000 household marquis." Dou Xiaochong spoke bitterly. "We should retreat." Dou Shanglia swallowed hard and also looked toward his eldest brother. Dou Xiaojian's face was a portrait of conflicting emotions. While there were many marquises in Great Tang, they were granted fiefs of only several hundred households, at most 1,000. But this blind man, he was now undeniably a marquis of 10,000 households. Such honor, such nobility, looking across the entire Tang Empire, there was probably only this one blind man with that level of prestige. A marquis of 10,000 households, this had never existed in the history of the Tang dynasty. Even a meritorious figure like Yu Qigong, a hero of the empire, had been granted merely 3,000 households. Not even a prince of a commandery had surpassed 10,000. If they did not retreat now, what could they possibly do? The man had transformed into someone untouchable. Any action against him would doom their entire clan. But if they backed off now, it would be too humiliating. He had utterly disgraced the Dou family. Dou Xiaojian's face turned ashen. He gave Qing Xiu a deep look and growled through clenched teeth, "Blind bastard, you are ruthless. We shall see. Let us go." Dou Xiaojian turned and walked away. But as he turned, 5 men entered Sanha village with swaggering, arrogant strides, chatting and laughing. The leader sported a black eye, looking rather comical. As soon as they saw the newcomers' faces, Dou Xiaojian and his lackeys turned pale and were visibly alarmed. He immediately pulled 2 of his men aside and hid behind a few horses. Ling Xiaogong glanced around curiously, scratching his head in confusion. What is going on here? Could it be that Mr. Qing knew we were coming and arranged a welcome party? Ling Jing narrowed his eyes. Does not look like it. Looks more like, something unpleasant just happened. Chang Yaojin furrowed his brow. "I smell blood." A tall, middle-aged man, slightly hunched and haggard but with a noble bearing, looked at Yu Qigong with his hands clasped behind his back. "Old Hey, go ask someone what happened here." Without a word, Yu Qigong pushed a horse aside, grabbed a Dou family guard, and slammed him to the ground, growling, "Spill it. What happened here? Why is everyone gathered?" I, the guard stammered, face drained of color. Yu Qigong was terrifying. His dark skin, brutish face, thick eyebrows, and scruffy beard all screamed menace. "Damn it. Asking a question and you look like you pissed yourself." Yu Qigong casually tossed the guard aside, yanked another one out from behind a horse, and slammed him down too. Leaning in close, he asked, "Boy, tell Grandpa Hey what the hell happened here. Why all the people?" The second guard swallowed nervously and stammered, We are Dou family guards. We came here to cause trouble for the blind man named Qing. Our young master said he wanted to kill the blind man to assert dominance." Frightened out of his wits, the guard blurted out the entire truth. Dou Xiaojian buried his face in his hands, his cheeks twitching, eyes full of murderous rage. Dou Kuei flushed with shame, breathing heavily, fists clenched. In his heart, he cursed that guard's entire family. At that very moment, the guard's entire family surely felt an ominous shiver. Dou Shanglia, Dou Xiaochong, and Dou Huayu all lowered their heads in utter shame. Misfortune had befallen the clan, truly, misfortune. What? Yu Qi Laohei's eyes bulged as he roared, the dignified Dou family, relatives of the empress, doing such despicable filth? Outrageous. Fuck your mother? Old Yu Qi swung his arm in a wide arc and hurled the guard. The guard's head struck a brick wall with a loud crack, burst open on the spot. The guard's body convulsed a few times, legs twitching, completely and unmistakably dead. The haggard middle-aged man frowned and said in a low voice, "Old Hey, restrain yourself. This is not a battlefield." Yu Qi shrugged. "Brother Shubao, I did not even use force. The kid was just too fragile." He took a step forward and shouted toward the remaining guards, "Whose man is this? Come claim the body. If you want silver as compensation, come to my mansion. If you want my life, I will not give it." Then, with great strides, he walked over to Dou Huayu, eyed him carefully, and suddenly grabbed his collar. "This fancy get-up of yours screams noble blood. Whose son are you in the Dou family?" The noble ladies and Confucian scholars in the crowd were stunned. This dark-skinned brute was blunt and violent, truly frightening. Dou Huayu had always been timid, and he was only 16 or 17. He had never in his life seen a man as fierce as Yu Qigong. He turned deathly pale, lips trembling, unable to speak. Old Yu Qi glared. "I asked you a question. Speak up." Whose son are you? Gurgle, gurgle. Do Huayu's throat made two choking noises. Green liquid dribbled from the corner of his mouth, and his face turned a ghastly gray. Yuqigong jumped back in fright and shouted, "God damn it, you little shit. If you were sick, why did you not say so?" He turned around with an innocent look. "You all saw it. I never touched him. You must testify for me later." Huayu, Huayu. Do Xiaojian rushed forward, panic-stricken, to support him. Do Kuei was also shocked. "Huayu, what is wrong?" Do Huayu stared at Yuqigong with terrified eyes, spit out more green bile, rolled his eyes back, and his head lolled to the side. Do Xiaocheng's face turned white as he slapped Huayu's cheeks. "Huayu, wake up! Wake up! Dead, he is dead?" Do Shangli glared at Yuqigong and roared, "Duke of Yi, you killed my younger brother?" Yuqigong's expression changed. He roared back, "Bullshit. I never laid a finger on him and he just died. Obviously, he was sick. What the fuck does that have to do with me? Do not spout nonsense. Everyone saw it." Do Xiaojian, eyes red with grief, said bitterly, "Yes, you did not touch him. But you scared him to death." Ling Xiaogong slapped his thigh and laughed out loud. Chang Yaojin's mouth twitched. Ling Jing sighed, unable to bear the sight. Qin Qiong stepped forward, apologetic. "Young master of the Do family, Yuqigong does look fierce, but it is not his fault. His parents made him that way. He never wanted it. The blame lies in your brother's fragile nerves. You people, you have gone too far. Too far." Do Xiaojian cried toward the sky, eyes full of tears, voice trembling with rage. "Let us go. Return to the mansion. We shall go to the palace. Let His Majesty judge this." Yuqigong curled his lip. "His Majesty? Go ahead. I did not even touch the kid. He died of fright. What the fuck does that have to do with me?" Chang Yaojin also curled his lip. "You Do family bastards, I hate bullies the most. You bring all these people to someone's doorstep to show off, and now you want the emperor to fight your battle? Have you no shame?" Do Xiaojian said no more. He ordered his men to carry Do Huayu's body, turned his head for a final long glare, and snorted before leading the retreat. From a distance, Ling Yuan stood dumbstruck. He glanced at Yuqigong, swallowed hard, and quietly turned to leave. "Grandfather, where are you going?" "Home. Grandfather is feeling unwell." Ling Yuan's old face flushed. He almost blurted out, "Grandfather is scared." And through it all, Qing Xiu remained dumbfounded. Good heavens. That man was a living god. He scared someone to death just by existing. Is this really a world where appearances decide everything? After the young masters of the Do family had left, Qing Xiu turned around and gestured with his hand, saying, "Everyone disperse, it is over now." With that, he prepared to return home with his wife Su Xiaochun and Yunyang. However, after only a few steps, they were surrounded by the villagers. "Master Qing, these are wild bitter greens we dug up this morning, not worth much, just a small token. Please take them home and try them." "Master Qing, I saved these eggs for half a month. Now that I have a full basket, I brought them for you." "Master Qing, these fish were just caught from the Ba River. Look, they are still flopping around. These cornbread cakes were just freshly made in our house. Please have a taste." "Master Qing, this is..." Qing Xiu felt somewhat helpless. Every time the villagers saw him, they were warm and enthusiastic, but this time it was overwhelming. The entire village had gathered, blocking the road home completely. It took quite a while before the path was cleared, and they hurried home as if fleeing, with wild vegetable leaves and 2 fish hanging from him, leaving a strong fishy smell all over his body. Yan Yushir watched Qing Xiu's figure disappear into the distance before withdrawing her gaze. Xiao Chui tilted her head and looked at her mistress, then smiled with her lips pursed. "Miss, do you like Master Qing?" Who likes him? Do not talk nonsense." Yan Yushir's cheeks flushed pink. Flustered and embarrassed, she stamped her feet and hurried toward the carriage. "Hee, miss, wait for me." As the crowd dispersed, the market regained its usual liveliness. In recent days, aside from giving lessons to Li Tai, Qing Xiu had been focused on improving the village. After discussing it with Li Taicheng, they decided to build a school and a medical clinic in the village, and construction had already begun. To provide liquor that would win the hearts of the people for Lao Dao and Lao Ma, he had cleared out a small storage room next to Yunyang's boudoir and converted it into a distillery. He had distilled a good amount of liquor with an alcohol content of over 40 degrees. From it, he also extracted more than 10 caddies of alcohol of about 70 degrees. Given the limited conditions, being able to distill 70-degree alcohol was already no small feat. This alcohol was, of course, not for drinking, but kept in reserve for disinfection purposes. Although the Tang dynasty was culturally refined, its sanitary conditions were far behind those of later times. Especially among villages along the rivers, people upstream did not care how those downstream used the water. Urinating, defecating, and washing clothes in the river was extremely common. Once there was an outbreak of cholera or dysentery, a large number of people could easily die. Qing Xiu could not manage the people in other villages, but after his reforms, Sanha village had become unexpectedly clean. Villagers would even look for latrines to urinate after leaving the village, and only relieve themselves on the spot when absolutely necessary. As soon as they entered the courtyard, Su Xiaochun could no longer maintain her dignified facade. She clutched Qing Xiu's arm, her beautiful face flushed with excitement, and said, "Husband, you are now a marquis, and not just any marquis, but a marquis with 10,000 households. Ba River Township alone has over 10,000 families, all are now your fief. It happens to be harvest season too, who knows how much rent we will collect." Qing Xiu replied disdainfully, "Do not get too happy too soon. The wealthiest part of Ba River Township is our Sanha village. Look at the people in other manors, some of their children are still running around bare-bottomed. If a family can eat its fill, that is already quite good. I do not expect these poor folk to pay much grain tax. Our family is not in dire need of grain either. Except for those local gentry and wealthy landlords, the peasants' rent should be waived if possible." Su Xiaochun thought for a moment, then smiled sweetly and nodded, "Yes, I will follow my husband's lead. I only realize today how comforting it feels to be loved and supported by the people. They have no idea how grateful they will be when you waive the rent on their land. Is that not so, Yunyang?" Yunyang nodded lightly, her face proud. "Indeed, husband is the kindest-hearted man in the world." "Kind-hearted?" Qing Xiu slowly shook his head. He did not believe himself to be kind-hearted at all. "Well said, ha." A hearty laugh rang out from outside. Xuanzi and Taizhu led 5 middle-aged men into the courtyard. The man laughing had a handsome face, but looked somewhat weak in energy. He wore dark red clothing with black and white patterns and had a tall, robust figure. The weak-looking man cupped his hands and said with a smile, "I am Qin Qiong, Qin Shubao. I came uninvited and asked for Marquis Qing's forgiveness." Xuanzi quickly stepped forward and said, "Noble, no, you are a marquis now." Scratching his head and grinning honestly, he lowered his voice and said, "Marquis, these officials came to pay respects to you. They are not like those young lords and ladies who come out of curiosity. They are all renowned dukes of the court. The one with the black circles under his eyes is the Prince of Hejian. I let them in." Xuanzi had studied for several years. With proper features and a dignified appearance, coupled with his upright but clever nature, Qing Xiu had made him the gatekeeper responsible for welcoming and filtering guests. Qing Xiu nodded, "Very well, Xuanzi, go make a pot of tea and bring it to the main hall." "Right away." Xuanzi trotted off to the kitchen. Qing Xiu smiled and said, "So it is Duke of Yi. The name of Lord Qin is long known to me, thunderously famous. Regrettably, I am blind and cannot admire your heroic presence. A true pity." Qin Qiong laughed heartily, "It is just an empty title. How can I compare with you? Marquis Qing, not yet 30 and already honored with the title of Marquis with 10,000 households, you are truly a brilliant young man. Marquis Qing, I wanted to introduce you, but since you cannot see, let us all just announce ourselves." Li Jing smiled gratefully, "I am Li Jing. I have come to thank Marquis Qing for offering the method of refining 100 times tempered steel. This method can not only provide weapons for the soldiers of Great Tang, but also armor, thereby increasing their combat effectiveness and ensuring their protection. Thank you for your generosity." Qing Xiu was slightly stunned. "Li Jing, the god of war of Great Tang?" He observed Li Jing from his mental image. Li Jing was in his 50s, with graying temples, a fine beard, eagle-like eyes, a high nose and broad mouth. His gaze was sharp and wise, and he appeared extremely refined. Qing Xiu cupped his hands, "So it is the Duke of Wei. I have long heard the great name of the god of war." Li Jing quickly waved his hand, "I dare not accept that title. I am no god of war. Please do not flatter me so. The title of god of war is well deserved, Duke of Wei." Li Jing was about to object again when a middle-aged man with dark eye sockets pulled him aside. Li Xiaogong said impatiently, "Enough, enough. He called you the god of war, just take it and be glad. Why do you need to talk so much just to announce your name? I am Li Xiaogong, Prince of Hejian." After speaking, he began inspecting the courtyard on his own. "My name is Yu Qigong. Like Li Jing, I have come to thank you for providing the technique of refining 100 times tempered steel. It can reduce casualties among our soldiers. On behalf of my brothers in arms in the right guard, thank you. I am Chang Yaojin, same as Old Black here." Qing Xiu said quickly, "So it is the Duke of Yi and the Duke of Lu. I have long admired your names. Please, everyone, come into the hall and have some tea. Everyone followed Qing Xiu into the front hall. After they were seated, Qing Xiu once again cupped his hands. I did not know that half of Great Tang's martial strength would visit today. I was unprepared, and my humble abode is plain. I have only coarse tea to offer. Please forgive the lack of hospitality. Li Xiaogong sipped his tea and laughed. No need for formalities. We are all rough men from the military. We like to be direct. From what I see, Marquis Qing is also a straightforward man. Let us save the pleasantries. Ha ha. Qing Xiu laughed. Prince of Hejian is indeed forthright. Li Jing said, there is no other purpose in our visit today. Aside from thanking Marquis Qing for his care for the soldiers of Great Tang, we came to see you in person. That way, when we meet again in the future, there will be no misunderstandings or unnecessary trouble. Yu Qigong patted Qing Xiu on the shoulder, his face serious. When we arrived today, we saw some brats from the Dou family causing trouble. If you encounter trouble again, just send someone to my residence. I cannot promise everything, but I will stand up for justice. Chang Yaojin slammed his teacup on the table and snorted angrily. They are all a bunch of idle and spoiled sons. If Marquis Qing needs it, I will submit a memorial tomorrow to impeach the Dou family. Heh, I was thinking the same thing, Li Xiaogong agreed. Only Li Jing remained silent. Qing Xiu was moved, but quickly dismissed the idea in his heart. If he truly did that, he would owe them a few personal favors. And throughout history, nothing is harder to repay than a debt of gratitude. Qing Xiu smiled and said, from what I can hear, you gentlemen are all men of character. I am truly grateful for your noble intentions. The matter with the Dou family is a private affair between our two households. I will not trouble you any further. The others did not say anything more. Suddenly, Yu Qigong sniffed the air, put down his teacup, and said, I do not enjoy drinking tea. You all continue your conversation, I will take a walk outside. After speaking, Yu Qigong got up and left. The place he went was none other than the distillery. The door was already locked, but Yu Qigong lingered outside the door, pacing back and forth, swallowing a couple of times as he did. He even leaned closer to the door, inhaling deeply. Eventually, he closed his eyes in intoxicated pleasure, and when he opened them again, they gleamed with an eerie light. Naturally, Qing Xiu noticed his behavior from his omniscient vantage. By this time, the tea in the hall had also been finished. Li Jing stood up and cupped his fists. We came uninvited today and disturbed you, Marquis Qing. It is getting late, I should return. The others followed suit. I shall also take my leave. I must take my leave as well. Old Black, what are you doing leaning on that door? Li Xiaogong slapped Yu Qigong on the back, the sound echoing loudly. Luckily, Yu Qigong had thick skin and flesh. He turned around and asked in confusion, you all, where are you going? Chang Yaojin kicked him and scolded with a laugh, we have already paid our respects to the newly appointed marquis. Are we staying here for dinner too? I do not have a face as thick as yours. Leaving so soon? Ah, fine then. Qing Xiu, I take my leave, said Yu Qigong, cupping his hands toward Qing Xiu. He cast one last longing glance at the door of the distillery before reluctantly following the others. Qing Xiu smiled faintly and stood at the entrance of the main hall, saying, you gentlemen have come from afar and have been treated only to plain tea. It is now nearly noon. I have prepared a humble meal, why not stay and eat before departing? It was not about how much silver one meal might cost. Each of these guests was a duke of great merit in Great Tang. For them to come and visit a mere marquis like him was already a huge honor. If he did not invite them to a meal, it would seem stingy and might draw criticism. Letting them leave without a meal would reflect poorly on him. Having lived for decades, both Li Jing and Li Xiaogong understood that one should not impose after accepting someone's hospitality. They hurriedly declined. Yu Qigong became anxious. His eyes widened, and with a face full of righteous indignation, he said, you old fools, Marquis Qing is now a marquis with 10,000 households. He is treating us properly, and we do not even stay for a meal? Are we not slapping him in the face? Such warm hospitality met with cold refusal. If this is reported back to Chang'an, where will your old faces hide? Chang Yaojin hesitated, but after some thought, he nodded, very well, then let us graciously accept. Qin Qiong nodded repeatedly. Indeed. Marquis Qing's invitation is sincere. If we do not give him the courtesy he deserves, the rumors would not be favorable. Many thanks for your hospitality. Li Xiaogong also followed the majority. Li Jing simply smiled and nodded without further comment. Qing Xiu called toward the inner room, Yunyang, go find the cooks and prepare some food. Yunyang and Su Xiaochun emerged from the boudoir, their cheeks flushed red, clearly having had some private conversation. Yes, master. Yunyang quickly left the hall and headed toward the moon gate on the west wall. Qing Xiu followed her and whispered in her ear, "Make it a feast." Yunyang trembled slightly, feeling a sudden warmth at her ear, which stirred a flutter in her heart. Blushing, she bowed her head and walked off shyly. Originally, there was no door in the west wall, but behind it was a small courtyard. A few days ago, Qing Xiu had ordered an opening made in the wall for easier access. Inside, he had arranged for some servants and cooks to handle cleaning and food preparation. As usual, the servants set up tables and chairs in the courtyard. Everyone sat around chatting casually. Not long after, Xuanzi came in and whispered to Qing Xiu, "Marquis, someone from the palace is here. It is the same eunuch who read the imperial decree at the tea house in Ani Ward last time. He appears to be a close attendant of His Majesty." Li Jing and the others also showed signs of interest. Why would Steward Wang come at this hour? Could he be here to deliver another imperial edict? No, if it were an imperial decree, they would not need to inform anyone. They would enter directly. Qing Xiu stood up, leaning on his blind cane, and followed Xuanzi to the gate. When Wang De saw Qing Xiu, he cupped his hands and smiled. "Congratulations, Marquis Qing. You are young and already the only marquis with 10,000 households in all of Great Tang." Qing Xiu smiled. "Your Excellency has traveled far. Please come in and have some tea." Wang De shook his head. "No need. Let us get to business. His Majesty heard that Marquis Qing lost his sight due to illness. He specifically ordered me to bring several imperial physicians from the palace to examine your eyes. I must report back shortly." Wang De clearly did not want to waste time. He turned to the physicians and instructed, "You all, examine Marquis Qing thoroughly. He is the only marquis of 10,000 households in our empire. Show your true skill and do not hold back." "You honor us, Steward Wang," said an elderly physician in elegant attire, stepping forward. "Marquis, please remove your blindfold so I may examine your eyes." The fact that Li Ji had sent imperial physicians to treat his eyes caught Qing Xiu completely off guard. He suddenly saw the emperor in a new light and felt a surge of gratitude. That His Majesty would care about a blind man like him proved he truly valued him. He removed the blindfold, and the old physician began his examination. This drew the attention of the others in the courtyard, who all came over to watch. After some time, the old physician furrowed his brows and shook his head with a sigh. "Alas." Wang De asked urgently, "Dr. Zhou, how is Marquis Qing's condition?" Imperial physician Zhou sighed and shook his head. Although the eyes appear normal and have some luster, the pupils are entirely ashen and lifeless. It is just like someone who lived long in darkness and was suddenly struck by intense light. That is how blindness occurred. "Marquis, am I wrong?" Qing Xiu raised an eyebrow, feeling slightly dejected, but still expressed his gratitude. "What you say is absolutely correct. My eyes went blind after exposure to intense light. Dr. Zhou, is there any hope of restoring my sight?" Imperial physician Zhou shook his head and sighed. "The spirit of the eyes is already dead. I am powerless. Truly powerless." He cupped his hands to Qing Xiu with an apologetic expression. Wang De's face grew solemn. "Dr. Zhou, step aside. The rest of you, examine him as well." The other imperial physicians all took a look, but their conclusions were the same. They were at a loss. Alas. Wang De slapped his thigh in frustration and said grimly, "I truly hope not to see Marquis Qing remain blind. His Majesty feels the same. But since even the imperial physicians say this, I fear his condition may be incurable." Qing Xiu said with a smile, "It is fine. I have grown used to it. Your Excellency, please convey my gratitude to His Majesty." "Of course." At that moment, imperial physician Zhou's eyes lit up with excitement. "Though I cannot cure Marquis Qing's eyes, there is someone in Chang'an who might." "Who?" Wang De asked excitedly. Imperial physician Zhou showed an expression of reverence. "The Medicine King, Sun Simiao, Taoist Master Sunday." "Master Sun?" Wang De's face immediately brightened. "How could I forget Master Sun? Marquis Qing, I shall return to the palace at once and ask His Majesty to invite Master Sun to treat your eyes." Wang De urged his entourage to hurry and left quickly. At some point, Su Xiaochun had come running out. With red-rimmed eyes and tears welling up, she threw her arms around Qing Xiu and choked out, "Husband, your eyes can be saved. Immortal Sun is the miracle doctor of Guanzhong. There is no illness in the world he cannot cure. I sent people to search for him many times, but we could never find him. If His Majesty sends someone, they will surely succeed. They will find Immortal Sun." Crying with joy, Su Xiaochun clung to Qing Xiu's chest. Qing Xiu cleared his throat and said, "Ahem, my dear, there are people watching. Mind your manners." Su Xiaochun's face turned red. She wiped her tears and pouted, "I am just happy. Even if everyone were watching, if it meant curing your eyes, I would crawl on my knees from our doorstep to Zhuke Avenue without a single complaint." Qing Xiu felt a warmth in his heart. A wife like this, what more could a man ask for? As soon as Yu Qigong saw Qing Xiu coming out holding a jar of liquor, his eyes lit up. He started scratching his knees under the table impatiently, eager to leap up and snatch the jar away. Before the feast officially began, Qing Xiu instructed the kitchen maids to cook a pot of handmade noodles. Many people in the Tang dynasty had no habit of eating breakfast. In their belief, eating breakfast made one feel hungrier throughout the day, while skipping it helped suppress hunger. It was common to eat only once before noon and again before dark. This habit, however, was extremely harmful to the body. Though it might not show in 3 to 5 years, after 20 or 30 years without breakfast, one was very likely to develop stomach problems. This lunch, naturally, could not do without alcohol, and it was a good idea to eat something first to cushion the stomach. Very soon, under the bustling efforts of the kitchen maids, 6 large ceramic bowls were brought out, steaming with heat. Everyone craned their necks to see what was inside, guessing at its contents. Li Xiaogong opened his mouth and then gave a wry smile. "Marquis Qing, do you really think we are all rice buckets, serving us such huge bowls of food?" Yu Qigong chuckled. "Heh, not too big. Just right. The bowls we use at home are this size. So are ours." Cheng Yaojin nodded in agreement. Li Xiaogong curled his lip. "Look at yourselves, who else here is as fat as you two? This is exactly how pigs are fed." Yu Qigong and Cheng Yaojin started bickering, and a fight nearly broke out. Thankfully, Qin Qiong and Li Jing intervened. Otherwise, Qing Xiu's home might have been torn down. Each person had a huge bowl placed before them, and as they looked inside, the corners of their mouths twitched. Their expressions turned particularly sour. Although the bowls were enormous, the contents were meager, just a small clump of steaming handmade noodles, resembling a lone noodle for 26 copper coins. Li Jing furrowed his brows but said nothing. Yu Qigong, craving the alcohol, did not care what was for lunch. Li Xiaogong tapped the ceramic bowl with a finger and said in disbelief, "Marquis Qing, though we may be rough men who are not picky eaters, you cannot fool us like this. A noodle dish as hospitality? We can understand if your household is struggling, everyone would sympathize. But this little bit of noodle in such a big bowl, who is that supposed to feed? Are you looking down on us?" His face already bristled with anger. To him, this was an insult. Qing Xiu replied calmly, "Your Highness, there has been a misunderstanding. This is not the main course. As people of Tang often skip breakfast, drinking alcohol directly at noon would harm the body. These handmade noodles are just to whet the appetite. After this, the real feast begins, and the wine shall flow freely." Li Xiaogong looked embarrassed and cupped his fists. "So that is the case. I misunderstood you. My apologies. But these plain white noodles taste like nothing. I cannot eat this," Qin Qiong said with a bitter face. Just then, 2 kitchen maids came out of the kitchen. One carried 2 small brass basins, the other held a pot of hot oil. A young kitchen maid placed some freshly boiled spinach into each bowl, sprinkled minced garlic from the brass basin, and then poured hot oil over it. With a sizzle, white smoke rose, and the aroma spread instantly. Following the same method, 6 steaming bowls of Yupo Mian, oil-splashed noodles, were finished. Qing Xiu beamed and made a welcoming gesture. "Uncles, please enjoy." Cheng Yaojin's eyes bulged. "You can eat noodles like this? Handmade noodles can be eaten like this? How curious. Smells incredible." Qing Xiu mixed the oil, garlic, and vegetables with his chopsticks, and the others followed suit. "I shall not stand on ceremony," Cheng Yaojin declared, quickly stirred his bowl, and then took a huge slurp. Before even swallowing, his eyes lit up, and he buried his head to eat more. Within 20 seconds, the bowl was clean to the bottom. "Damn it, now this is what I call a meal." Cheng Yaojin licked the edge of the bowl with closed eyes and muttered, "Damn it, I thought I had tasted every delicacy under the heavens. Turns out I've been eating pig slop this whole time." The others nodded in agreement, mouths full, none willing to slow down. "Pig slop? Old Cheng, do not insult pig slop. Just this oil-splashed noodle, if sold in Chang'an, it would go for 80 copper coins a bowl. I would eat 10 bowls a day. Sadly, it is not enough." Yu Qigong slammed his bowl on the table and shouted, "Another bowl. There is no more." "No more? Such a pity." The dukes were visibly unsatisfied. But Qing Xiu called toward the kitchen, "You may begin serving the dishes." Immediately, the kitchen maids started bringing out the side dishes. The entire courtyard was enveloped in rich aromas. As the stir-fried dishes hit the table, the guests were visibly stirred. Who eats like this? Why is there no soup? Strange, dry dishes? But the smell, divine. TSK, now this is real food. All this time I've been wasting grain at home. Damn it, I am going home to beat my chef. Calls himself a disciple of a famous master, he's been conning me all along. Qin Xiong curiously asked, Marquis Qing, these dishes have no broth, how were they made? They were all accustomed to stews and roasted meats, they had never seen stir-fried dishes. Qin Xiu explained, this is stir-fry. After a detailed explanation, everyone had a new understanding of stir-frying and decided to test their own chefs when they returned. Though the young kitchen maid's skills were no match for Qin Xiu or Yunyang, they were leagues ahead of typical cooks. Any one of them could easily run a bustling tavern. Yu Qigong pointed at the wine jar in front of Qin Xiu and grinned, no rush. Open the wine first. Qin Xiu removed the seal, and a strong aroma immediately filled the air. Good heavens, how is this wine so fragrant? Yu Qigong stood up abruptly, a look of greed in his eyes. Chang Yaojin stretched his neck to look into the jar, nearly shoving his face in. He sniffed deeply. Good wine, indeed. Just by smell, it is 100 times better than 3 leg rains. Come, pour me a bowl first. Qin Xiong was already holding his bowl at the ready. Qin Xiu had a kitchen maid pour him a bowl and reminded him, Duke of Yi, your health is weak. This is a strong spirit, please be cautious. Qin Xiong did not gulp it down like the others but sipped lightly. Excellent, excellent wine. Ha, if I can drink such wine in this life, I have no regrets. He then took a big gulp. His face turned red almost immediately. After tasting, everyone praised the wine profusely. Before long, Yu Qigong was already tipsy. He swayed while holding the now empty jar and asked, Marquis Qing, where did you buy this wine? Tell me, and I will get 100 jars myself. Such good wine must be stocked at home. The others perked up, eager to buy dozens of jars to drink their fill. Though everyone had grown close after this meal, Qin Xiu had no intention of missing the chance to make money. Each of these dukes controlled 1,000 households. Their annual grain rents amounted to thousands of taels of silver. On top of that, they received salaries and royal rewards, each was a man of enormous wealth. Especially Yu Qigong. For his contributions during the Xuanwu Gate incident, he was rewarded with everything from the Prince of Qi's estate. No one in Chang'an was richer than he, except for Li Yuan and Li Er. Qin Xiu shook his head, you cannot buy this wine. Why not? My household is full of silver. Why would I not be able to buy it? Marquis Qing, do they not sell this wine in Chang'an? Qin Xiu nodded, indeed, they do not. This wine is called Xinghua Village. I stumbled upon it by chance and spent a long time recreating it. Brewing a single gene requires 30 gene of grain. What? 30 gene of grain per gene of wine? Wine is the essence of grain. No wonder it is so good. Qin Xiu continued, not only is it grain intensive, it is extremely laborious. The brewing process is complex. It takes the strength of hundreds of strong men to press out the wine. The costs are very high. Yu Qigong grew impatient. Just tell me where I can get this wine. I will pay, whatever the cost. Qin Xiu replied evenly, I plan to open several distilleries in Chang'an. Tomorrow, one will open next to the tea house in Ani Ward. If you wish to drink this wine regularly, visiting my shop is a must. This Xinghua Village wine has a high cost, so I intend to sell it at a low margin, 100 taels of silver per large jar. What? Chang Yaojin cried out, 100 taels per jar? Marquis Qing, have you gone mad over money? Qin Xiu laughed, not for a small jar like this, but a large jar of 50 jin. Well, that is reasonable. Give me 10 jars first. I will send someone with the money right away, said Yu Qigong boldly. Let us open one more now and drink to our heart's content. 2 taels per gene was a light expense for them. If they knew the actual cost was only a few dozen won per gene, who knows how they would react? Qin Xiu said with mock displeasure, Duke of Yi, what are you saying? Drinking at my home and paying? That would be slapping my face. Today, drink all you like. Everyone will receive a jar when they leave. Ha! Marquis Qing is generous, just my kind of man. Clearly, these 5 were all heavy drinkers. With them opening up the market for Xinghua Village wine, it would be hard not to make money from distilling. In Chang'an, inside the imperial city, outside the Hall of Supreme Harmony, several hundred people knelt in rows. Your Majesty, we implore you to bring justice to the Dou family. As Li Er emerged, he was struck by the unprecedented scene before him and felt a chill down his spine. He glanced around, frowning as he asked, Dou Yen, Dou Jing, Dou Dan, Dou Gan, Dou Shiluan. Why are all of you from the Dou family here? This is the imperial city, the Taiji Palace, not the ancestral shrine of the Dou clan. Wailing and sobbing here, what sort of decorum is this? Li Er noticed that not only were members of the younger generation present, but also several of the Dou family's elders, as well as Dou Xiaojian of the youngest generation. Strangely, however, Dou Gue was nowhere to be seen, which raised some doubts in his mind. Do Gue was the cousin of Do Kong. Both were among the 9 founding elders of the dynasty. The Do family alone accounted for 2 of the 9. Though Do Kong had been dead for several years, he had many descendants, each more remarkable than the last. Do Yen, Do Kang's eldest son, had inherited the title of Duke of Chen. Though he held no official post, he was a pillar of the Do family, wielding immense influence. His second brother, Do Jing, was a rare talent in both civil and military matters. He served as Minister of Agriculture and held real power, earning the title of Baron of Xindu through his own merit. 2 years later, Li Er even created a separate division within the Ministry of Revenue specifically for Do Jing, in recognition of his abilities. Their third brother, Do Dan, was the emperor's brother-in-law through marriage and even more accomplished than his older siblings. He had earned numerous military accolades and was enfeoffed as the Duke of Xian. Other members of the Do family also held noble titles or official posts in various capacities. Do Yen, kneeling at the front outside the Taiji Hall, looked up at Li Er and suddenly cried out in grief and indignation, "Your Majesty, please deliver justice for the Do family." Li Er asked coldly, "Duke of Chen, what grievance do you have?" Do Yen responded, "Last night, our residence was robbed. I ordered my son Xiao Jian, along with his cousins Do Kuei, Xiao Chong, Shanglia, and Huayu, to pursue the thieves outside the city, all the way to Sanha village in Ba River Township. However, the village head and baron of Lan Tian, Qingxiu, shielded the criminals. They blocked my son at the village entrance, causing him to miss the chance to catch the thieves." Li Er's pupils contracted, his gaze turning icy cold. He was no fool. How could he not see through the real motive behind the Do family's trip to Sanha village? The talk of chasing thieves was but a pretense. The real target was that blind man, Qingxiu. Do Yen continued, "My son attempted to reason with them, but the village head and Baron Qingxiu not only refused to yield but also slaughtered my son's horse as a warning. My son, wishing to avoid conflict, could only swallow the insult and return. But before he could make it back, Duke of Yuqi Jingda, ambushed them from behind, killing one of my personal guards and threatening my young nephew, Do Huayu. That poor child, timid by nature, was so terrified by that brute that he collapsed from fear on the spot. Your Majesty, please bring justice to the Do family. Severely punish the village head of Sanha, Li Taicheng, and Baron Qingxiu for harboring criminals. Punish Yuqi Jingda and make him pay with his life for my nephew." Li Er's facial muscles twitched uncontrollably. After a moment of silence, he finally said, "Duke of Chen, I am the sovereign of this nation. Though your Do family is part of the imperial in-laws, I cannot rule based on your one-sided account. I must send someone to thoroughly investigate and uncover the full truth. Return to your homes for now. Once I have the results, you will be notified." Your Majesty, Do Yan's third brother, Do Dan, interjected, "Last night, it was not merely a robbery. The perpetrators were a group of rebels. They stole tens of thousands in silver and killed many of my family's servants and guards. I suspect that these rebels are connected to Sanha village." Li Er's eyes widened as he replied coldly, "Duke of Xian, the region of Guangzhong is very stable. There are no rebels, only a few petty thieves driven by greed. I hope you understand the situation clearly." Do Dan continued, "Your Majesty, I heard them shouting slogans to overthrow Tang and kill officials last night. If your Majesty does not believe me, there is nothing I can do." With that, Do Dan lowered his head, his face like a still lake, staring at the ground. Li Er shouted in anger, "Do Dan, are you saying that I have failed to govern properly, allowing rebels to emerge in Chang'an? That this is my fault?" Do Dan calmly replied, "Your Majesty, I meant no such thing. I am simply telling the truth. Whether you believe it or not is your prerogative." Fine, ha. Li Er laughed coldly. "I will send someone to investigate thoroughly. Is that satisfactory? Now all of you, get out of the Taiji Palace." Suddenly, Do Jing, who had remained silent, spoke, "Your Majesty, I have a question. What is the punishment for dereliction of duty?" Li Er opened his mouth but found himself momentarily speechless. Do Jing pressed on, "My uncle, Do Gue, was punished for dereliction of duty. His title was stripped, and he was removed from office. I have reviewed the Tang legal code thoroughly. Dereliction warrants demotion or loss of salary, at worst removal from post, but never the stripping of a noble title. Your Majesty acted harshly over a minor incident. If word of this reaches our hometown of Pingling, tens of thousands of the Do clan will cry injustice. The people across the empire may criticize Your Majesty for disproportionate punishment. Can the laws of Tang be overridden by Your Majesty's personal emotions?" Li Er's face darkened. "Do Jing, you are the Minister of Agriculture. This is an internal family matter. What concern is it of yours?" Dou Jing responded solemnly, Your Majesty, I speak only the truth. If a noble can lose his title over dereliction, which gentry family or scholar would dare enter officialdom? I am not meddling for the sake of it. Yes, I am a Dou family member, but I am also your Majesty's subject. As your subject, I must speak out when I see injustice. Dereliction of duty should be punished according to law, not by imperial whim. Li Er replied coldly, I see now. The Dou family has come to force my hand. Dou Yan quickly said, Your Majesty, we are wronged. As your subjects, how dare we force your Majesty? If your Majesty refuses to deliver justice, we will not press the matter. You are the Emperor, the law is yours to define. Do as you see fit. This old subject will now take the Dou family's unworthy descendants and leave the palace. Li Er's expression grew complex, anger, worry, and resentment intertwined. If what Dou Yan said spread across the empire, that justice was denied, titles stripped arbitrarily, it could severely damage his reputation. The people would call him a tyrant. This could hurt the future development of the Tang dynasty and alienate the gentry clans who supplied talent to the state. After a long silence, Li Er said in a cold voice, I will give the Dou family an explanation. I will personally go to Sanha village and investigate the matter of the thieves. Dou Gui's title of Duke of Zan will also be restored. Is that enough? Now leave, at once. Leave! Li Er roared, turning and storming back into the Hall of Supreme Harmony. He smashed everything on the imperial desk in a fit of rage. After a long while, Wang De cautiously reminded, Your Majesty, please take care of your health. Exhausted, Li Er slumped onto the imperial desk and pointed outside coldly, Go see if those Dou people are gone. Wang De returned shortly, Your Majesty, the Dou family has dispersed. Li Er said in a deep voice, The Dou family, just one Dou family, and they dare threaten me? If I do not give them an explanation, the Dou clansmen of Xianying and their gentry allies might even rise in rebellion. If I do not restore Dou Gui's title, my name will be smeared all across Xianying. Bastards, all of them. I swear I will destroy the Dou family. He slammed his palm heavily on the imperial desk. After a moment, with a vicious glint in his eyes, Li Er rose and said, Prepare the carriage. We are going to Sanha village. I want to consult Mr. Qingxiu on how to uproot the Dou family without damaging my reputation. Wang De shivered. He knew then, Li Er was determined to do something big. Soon, a carriage and a team of guards quietly left the palace. Chang'an, at the residence of the Zhangsun family. Zhangsun Wuji sat in his study, as serious and silent as ever. His wife, Lady Zhao, entered the room carrying a cup of tea. She placed it on the table and noticed that Zhangsun Wuji did not react at all. With concern, she asked, Husband, why do you look so troubled? Zhangsun Wuji finally came back to his senses and said in surprise, Wife, when did you arrive? Lady Zhao gave a bitter smile. This is the third time I have come in. Seeing you lost in silence, I dared not disturb you. Zhangsun Wuji sighed helplessly. Our ironworks may soon be ruined. Lady Zhao was startled and asked in a trembling voice, Did His Majesty confiscate our ironworks? Zhangsun Wuji shook his head. No, it is the Baron of Lantian, no, now the Marquis of Lantian. He presented to His Majesty the method for producing 100 refined steel. With just 3 to 5 people, 100 caddies can be produced in one day, and its quality is far superior to ours. 80% of our steel output is supplied to the Armory Bureau. Now that they have the method for 100 refined steel, they no longer need what our workshops produce. We cannot sell steel freely on the civilian market, so our source of income is suddenly cut off. Alas! His face was full of gloom. Lady Zhao was shocked. 3 to 5 people producing 100 caddies of refined steel per day? My heavens, is there truly such a method? You said it was provided by the Baron of Lantian, is it that blind man who recently upset Pingting? Zhangsun Wuji nodded. It is him. Lady Zhao sat beside him, also visibly distressed. Suddenly, a glimmer appeared in Zhangsun Wuji's eyes. He said to his wife, Wife, go and bring Pingting here. Obediently, Lady Zhao went and summoned Zhangsun Pingting. I have something to discuss with Pingting alone, said Zhangsun Wuji. Though curious to stay, Lady Zhao understood her place in a patriarchal society and withdrew from the study. Zhangsun Pingting asked, puzzled, Father, why have you called me? Zhangsun Wuji studied her carefully, which made her uneasy. Father, why are you looking at me like that? Zhangsun Wuji explained the predicament with their steelworks. To his surprise, Zhangsun Pingting looked delighted rather than worried. As expected of Lord Qingxiu. He even knows this method, how incredible. Zhangsun Wuji's face darkened. He said sternly, Pingting, did you not catch the critical point in what I just said? Ah, she replied sheepishly. Father, I understand that our family's enterprise is about to fail, But what does that have to do with me? Lowering his voice, Zhang Sunwuji said, Pingting, I know you like Qingxiu. I told you a few days ago that I do not mind him being blind. But so many days have passed, why have you never gone to see him? Blushing, Zhang Sun Pingting replied, Father, I am a young woman. I must act with restraint. Matters of love cannot be pursued too aggressively. These things take time. Zhang Sun Wuji massaged his temples. Time is what we do not have. Our business is collapsing, and we still have so many household members to support. Pingting looked confused. But what does this have to do with me and Qingxiu? It has everything to do with it, he said, eyes gleaming. Once you and Qingxiu are bound by affection, marriage can follow. At that point, we can persuade him to hand over the 100 refined steel method, and our family enterprise will be saved. Zhang Sun Pingting looked at her father in disbelief. Shaking her head, she said, Father, how could you think that way? You want me to get close to Qingxiu just to obtain his steel-making method? Frowning, Zhang Sun Wuji replied, What are you thinking? Did I not support your relationship with him even before he presented that method? She hesitated, then realized he was right. He continued, Whether or not he had that method, I would still support you. But now that our business is in crisis, we must act quickly. Here is the plan. Tomorrow, you will go to Sanha village and invite Qingxiu for an outing to the peach forest 10 li east of Ba River. I will accompany you as a chaperone. This, she stammered, her face red. This does not seem proper. How could a woman invite a man out? That was before. This is now. Listen to your father. Dress nicely tomorrow morning and set out early. Embarrassed, Zhang Sun Pingting said, But father, Qingxiu is blind. No matter how well I dress, he will not see it. As she spoke, she could not help but sigh inwardly. If she truly became his wife, her beauty would remain forever unseen by him. What a pity that would be. Zhang Sun Wuji smacked his forehead in embarrassment. Look at me, so anxious I forgot he was blind. Fine, it is settled. Go now. Remember, not a word of this to your mother. I understand, father. She departed. Zhang Sun Wuji chuckled silently, feeling quite proud of his decision. At the same time, Li Er arrived in a whirlwind at Sanha village. Even before entering, he heard hearty laughter coming from the courtyard. Frowning, he muttered, Why are those bastards here? Never mind, he said, shaking his head and instructing a guard to monitor the place. He then went to the residence of Li Yuan. After waiting half an hour, Yu Qijingda and his party left. Li Er left his guards outside and, under the guidance of the gatekeeper, entered the courtyard. Upon entering, he bowed and smiled to Qingxiu, Congratulations, Marquis Qing. A few days ago, I presented your methods of movable type printing and 100 refined steel to His Majesty. He was overjoyed and full of praise for you. Qingxiu was not drunk and fully alert. Brotherly, your presence honors this humble abode. Qingxiu offered the usual courtesies and invited him to sit for tea. Li Er, full of vivid expression, smiled and said, In today's court, His Majesty overruled all opposition and insisted on granting you the title of Marquis overseeing 10,000 households. Perhaps you are unaware, His Majesty even quarreled with the entire court. He declared that if anyone opposed your enfeoffment, he would have their head cut off. Qingxiu's lips twitched, he cursed the shamelessness in his heart. What a pompous lie. Still, he could not show it and merely remarked, It seems His Majesty is a man of passion. I would very much like to witness his elegance. Li Er was especially pleased, secretly wanting to reveal that he was the emperor himself. Qingxiu asked, Did Brotherly come just to tell me this, or is there something more? Li Er had already prepared his words. Hearing the question, he answered directly, After morning court, His Majesty kept me behind to discuss an urgent matter. He is deeply troubled and, as his subject, I must help ease his burdens. Oh? What matter troubles His Majesty? Lowering his voice, Li Er said, His Majesty wishes to uproot the Dou family but lacks a proper and sufficient excuse. I came here hoping to consult you, Master Qingxiu. Do you have a plan that would preserve His Majesty's reputation while allowing him to eradicate the Dou clan in one stroke? Though Qingxiu's face remained calm, inwardly he was full of scorn, pretending to be a whore while building a memorial arch? That was exactly the nature of Li Er's request. Can you help me with a plan? Li Er asked eagerly. Stroking his chin, Qingxiu replied thoughtfully, A plan I do have, and it is feasible. But at present, I fear it may not yet be viable. Li Er lit up and asked, You already have a solution? Qingxiu chuckled. Brotherly, you may inform His Majesty to expedite the development of papermaking and movable type printing. Once these are fully established, dealing with the Dou family will be a mere trifle. Li Er could not conceal his excitement, his curiosity burning. Can you share the plan with me now? Qingxiu shook his head. Too complicated, and hard to explain at the moment. If I say it now, it may not work. Besides, I cannot guarantee it will succeed. Just have patience and wait. Lier bowed. Then I shall rely on you. After some idle chatter, Lier made an excuse and left. Once he returned, he issued 2 directives urging the relevant departments to accelerate the paper-making process. Judging by today's events, the Dou family would surely become a problem in the future. Qingxiu also wanted to eliminate this trouble as soon as possible to avoid complications later. With Lier now involved, this would be much easier to accomplish. As night fell, Qingxiu finished his bath and went to bed early. Su Xiaochun came in but did not immediately join him. Instead, she gave Qingxiu a playful push and chided, "Husband, why are you not spending the night in Yunyang's room?" Qingxiu replied with displeasure, "Since when does a proper wife push her husband toward a concubine's bed?" Su Xiaochun sat down at the head of the bed and covered her mouth, laughing, "Your wife is just such a person. Husband, go on. It has been many days since you returned from Chang'an. You deflowered Yunyang and never touched her again. What if she thinks I forbid you from going to her? Would that not make me look petty?" Qingxiu pushed lightly against Su Xiaochun's chest and said with a stern face, "A young girl speaking such indecent words, where did you learn such vulgar language?" Su Xiaochun leaned down and kissed him, laughing mischievously, "I only say such things to my husband. Hurry now, before Yunyang locks the door and you cannot get in." Qingxiu yawned, "Let us talk about it tomorrow. I am tired tonight. Get some rest, my dear. You need to be up early to run the wine shop. You must be well rested. Are you going or not?" Su Xiaochun pouted and urged him again. "I am not going. If you want to, then you go." "Fine, since you will not go, I will bring Yunyang here." With that, Su Xiaochun wiggled her hips and left the room. Moments later, a shy and hesitant Yunyang followed her into the bedroom. Qingxiu's heart skipped a beat. He had thought she was joking, but Su Xiaochun had truly brought Yunyang over. Still, being a doting husband, Qingxiu decided not to upset Su Xiaochun. After all, he was blind and powerless, and could only accept whatever treatment he received. Yunyang, led by Su Xiaochun, blushed and resisted weakly. "Xiaochun, let us not do this. Let me go. It is not proper for a concubine to sleep in the main wife's room." Su Xiaochun knocked her lightly on the forehead and scolded, "What is improper about it? In villages within 10 miles, everyone sleeps together." Yunyang mumbled timidly, "That is because they are poor and have no extra rooms, so they have no choice but to share beds." Qingxiu nodded in agreement. Yunyang is right. It is poverty that forces people to sleep together. "Husband, silence. I thought you were tired, just go to sleep." Su Xiaochun rolled her eyes, pulled the bolt on the door, and got ready for bed. In the Tang dynasty, there were no underpants or shorts, only loincloths, like what sumo wrestlers wear. Shorts, of course, were something Qingxiu had invented to serve as modern-style underwear. By candlelight, Su Xiaochun's fair body swayed back and forth, but unfortunately, Qingxiu was blind. "Yunyang, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and get undressed. You need to come with me tomorrow morning to open the wine shop. Best get some rest early." She spoke casually, almost as if this were routine. The blush on her face showed that she was trying hard to suppress her nerves. Oh. Yunyang nodded foolishly. Soon, she had stripped down just like Su Xiaochun. "Yunyang, you sleep inside next to husband. I will be on the outside." Su Xiaochun pushed Yunyang to the inner side. Yunyang panicked a bit, but she could never resist Su Xiaochun's assertiveness. In ancient times, wives slept on the outer side of the bed, while husbands slept inside, symbolizing that a woman should not cross over the man. The wooden bed was not large. It had never felt cramped before, but now it did. Yunyang's smooth body was pressed close, warm to the touch. Qingxiu took a deep breath and tried hard to clear his mind, shifting inward and lying stiff as a corpse, unmoving. Suddenly, Yunyang gasped and moved closer, causing Qingxiu to tense up immediately. Disaster. "Xiaochun, do not crowd me," Yunyang murmured in protest. Su Xiaochun replied with annoyance, "Why are you sticking to the edge? I am about to fall off. Move inward." Yunyang had no choice but to scoot further in. Qingxiu gritted his teeth. "Su Xiaochun, do you need a good beating?" "Hee, I do. What can you do about it, husband?" Su Xiaochun said provocatively. Qingxiu truly wanted to sit up and discipline her, but remembering she was pregnant, he gave up the idea. "If I cannot discipline you, I will discipline Yunyang instead," he said angrily, and began to do so. Yunyang never expected to get caught in Su Xiaochun's fire-starting game. Being naturally gentle and used to being bossed around by Su Xiaochun, she had never resisted. Even if she did, she could not overpower either of them. So Yunyang's protests were faint and stifled. The next morning, Su Xiaochun and Yunyang were up early. They arranged over a dozen carriages filled with freshly distilled high-proof liquor and headed to Chang'an. They had leased the storefront 2 days prior and had a signboard made, Xinglong Wine Shop. Below the gilded name were poetic lines. During Qingming Festival, the rains fall in drizzles. Travelers on the road feel grief in their souls. I ask where a tavern might be found. A shepherd boy points far to Apricot Blossom Village. With this verse as promotion, Apricot Blossom Village was sure to capture the liquor market in Chang'an. Su Xiaochun directed the house guards to carry the wine inside while winking and whispering obscene phrases in Yunyang's ear. Yunyang's face flushed to her ears. She looked around and snapped, "This is all your fault, Xiaochun. Please stop doing this in the future." Embarrassed beyond words, she wanted to crawl into a hole. Su Xiaochun teased her a few more times. "My lady, I am ignoring you now." Yunyang stomped her foot and rushed into the tea shop next door, prompting Su Xiaochun to burst into laughter. Once everything was set and the sign was hung, it quickly drew a crowd. "Shopkeeper Su, is your family not in the tea business? Why are you selling wine now?" Su Xiaochun smiled and said, "Uncle Wang, tea and wine both nourish the soul. This wine is called Apricot Blossom Village. My husband returned home during Qingming to honor his ancestors, and happened upon a peach blossom grove where he discovered this recipe. It is rich, bold, aromatic, perfect in every way. Would you like to try a jar?" Old Wang waved his hand and laughed. "Please, shopkeeper Su, I could not even afford your tea, let alone your wine." Su Xiaochun turned to her shop assistant and said, "Chunjing, pour a caddy of wine for Uncle Wang." "Yes, ma'am." The youth named Chunjing went to fetch the wine. Old Wang flustered, "Shopkeeper Su, you must not. I cannot afford your wine." He had once inquired about their tea prices and been shocked. Still, Su Xiaochun had always been generous, often offering free tea, which had fostered familiarity over time. Su Xiaochun said with a smile, "Uncle Wang, we are old acquaintances. This is on the house. If you like it, please spread the word around the neighborhood. That would be a great help to us." Old Wang loved good liquor. Though he was honest and did not want to take advantage, the aroma was too tempting. When the wine was handed to him, he nervously said, "Shopkeeper Su, this is too much." Su Xiaochun smiled gently, "Uncle Wang, no need for formality. Just help us promote it." "All right then, thank you kindly. How much is it per caddy?" "2 taels of silver." "So expensive?" Old Wang was shocked by the price. Su Xiaochun replied, "Uncle Wang, 2 taels is already very cheap. Most wines take a few caddies of grain to produce. Ours requires over 30 caddies per caddy of liquor. Try it, you will be satisfied." Old Wang took a sip. The intense spiciness filled his mouth, followed by a smooth richness with no impurities. He was instantly impressed. "This is fine wine, strong, full of character, truly perfect. 2 taels is fair. Do not worry, shopkeeper Su. I will go to 10 Fragrance Pavilion and bring you some customers." Delighted, he left with the wine and soon arrived at 10 Fragrance Pavilion. When he opened the wine jar, some spilled, and the entire place was filled with its rich aroma. As the saying goes, good wine does not fear deep alleys. The fragrance spread far, attracting numerous curious drinkers, many of whom began asking about the wine. Opposite the Xinglong wine shop, a young woman dressed in pale blue stared intently at the poem engraved on the signboard. She murmured to herself, "Mistakenly entered the peach blossom spring? With such fragrance, it might truly be an immortal brew. No doubt he is a disciple of the immortals." The woman wore a pale blue martial outfit, her slender waist easily encircled by one's hands, and her full bosom barely contained. Her hair was tied in a neat, practical bun. Her face was exquisite, with a touch of softness, and a red cinnabar mark at the corner of her eye added an extra hint of allure. She was young, no more than 17 or 18, with bright, piercing eyes. When she smiled, her eyes narrowed into crescent moons, the outer corners arching upwards, naturally seductive. Beneath her delicate nose were 2 thin, rosy lips, shimmering with healthy color. She walked toward the wine shop and carefully read the classical poem on the signboard. Su Xiaochun stepped forward and asked, "Miss, are you here to buy wine?" The woman sized up Su Xiaochun with a faint smile and pointed at the signboard, saying, "Buying or not is another matter. This poem is beautifully written. May I ask who the author is?" Su Xiaochun answered with pride, "It was written by my husband." "Oh?" The woman's interest was piqued. "Your husband is quite the poet. Has he composed any other works?" Su Xiaochun smiled, "He has written many poems. Just a few days ago, he won the top prize at the Midsummer Poetry Gathering." "Your husband is Mr. Qingxiu?" the woman asked with narrowed, smiling eyes. "Indeed," Su Xiaochun replied, a bit curious. Miss, are you not from Chang'an? Still smiling with her eyes, the woman shook her head. I am not from Chang'an. Just passing through. I have heard of Qingxiu's great reputation. May I ask if that poem, above in jade capital, 12 towers and 5 cities, the immortal strokes my crown, and I receive the Tao in youth, was also written by your husband? Su Xiaochun looked puzzled and shook her head. I do not recall him writing that poem, though it does sound quite elegant. The woman nodded, took out a gold ingot, and placed it on the table. 1 jar of wine. Keep the change. Su Xiaochun picked up the hefty gold with a smile. 10 taels of gold, just enough for 1 jar. Miss, our wine comes in 50 jean jars. Shall I have a servant carry it to your lodgings? The woman in blue shook her head. No need. Just give it to me. Su Xiaochun was surprised. Miss, 50 jean is not light. Can you carry it? The woman smiled with narrowed eyes and nodded. 50 jean is nothing. I can manage. Still skeptical, Su Xiaochun asked old Ma to bring out a jar of 50 jean. The woman casually lifted it with both hands, tossed it lightly into the air, then caught it single-handedly and rested it in her palm. Without a backward glance, she walked off with graceful ease. Old Ma's pupils contracted, his eyes narrowed. Su Xiaochun covered her mouth in amazement. She looks so slim, yet has such great strength. Old Ma spoke gravely, Madam, this is no ordinary woman. Carrying a wine jar that heavy yet walking so lightly, she must be a martial arts expert. At such a young age too. She is no simple character. Su Xiaochun replied, Who cares? As long as she pays, even if she can carry 10 jars, I will not be impressed. Old Ma chuckled, Madam does not practice martial arts. Naturally, you cannot understand how difficult it is. Su Xiaochun was indifferent. Thanks to old Wang's boasting at the 10 fragrance pavilion, more customers came, and Su Xiaochun was happily busy counting money. Meanwhile, the woman in blue walked through several alleys with the wine jar. She lightly vaulted over a few courtyard walls. After making sure no one was around, she knocked on a door. The woman who opened it was also dressed in pale blue, her face covered with a sheer veil. Her outer robe was overlaid with a layer of pink gauze, accentuating her graceful figure and generous bust. She had enchanting almond-shaped eyes, and her beauty, half hidden behind the veil, was mesmerizing. Seeing the massive wine jar, she spoke in a voice as seductive as honey. Xiaoro, what news did you gather? And where did you get that wine jar? Shan Xiaoro pursed her lips. Master, Mr. Tu asked me to bring back some wine. I bought this in town for him. The veiled woman scolded softly, given our special status, we must avoid attracting attention. Why bring back such a large jar? Shan Xiaoro stuck out her tongue and pouted, Master, I already scouted carefully. No one followed me. I climbed over several walls. No one noticed. Then she slipped inside. The courtyard was small, with a main hall and a side room. The door to the side room opened, and an elderly man in black martial attire emerged, brimming with vigor. He looked around 70, eyes sharp, back straight, shoulders broad, a strong, imposing figure. With a gentle smile, he said, Miss Yunyan, it was I who asked Miss Xiaoro to bring the wine. Please do not blame her. Lu Yunyan hesitated, then turned to close the door behind her. Mr. Tu, here is your wine. It should last you a while, said Xiaoro, setting the jar gently on the grinding stone. Mr. Tu looked surprised. Such a large jar? Miss Xiaoro, though I enjoy wine, I cannot drink this much. It would be a waste. Shan Xiaoro rolled her eyes. How was I supposed to know how much to get? If I brought too little, you would complain. Now it is too much. Being kind is never easy. Mr. Tu chuckled, I did not mean to blame you. What did you learn today? At the mention of news, Lu Yunyan walked over with graceful steps and asked softly, Is there any news? Shan Xiaoro nodded and whispered, the poem was indeed written by someone named Qingxiu. According to local rumors, the Dog Emperor made him a marquis yesterday because he presented the court with movable type printing and the method for producing 100 refined steel. Movable type printing? 100 refined steel. Mr. Tu frowned deeply. Shan Xiaoro said, I do not know much about the printing method, but as for the steel, it takes only 3 to 5 people to produce 100 jean a day. Mr. Tu gasped, his eyes ablaze. Such techniques are not the product of mere intelligence. These are contributions that benefit the entire world. They say he is very young, no more than 20. For someone so young to do all this, I do not believe it was his doing alone. He must have a powerful teacher behind him. The rumors that he is a disciple of immortals are probably true. Lu Yunyan also appeared moved. She raised her brows and asked, When will we act? Mr. Tu shook his head. Not yet. My disciples have not all arrived. The 3 of us alone have little chance. If he is truly an immortal's disciple, he may have unknown protective means. We wait. Lu Yunyan nodded slowly. Mr. Tu glanced at the wine jar, then returned to the side room to fetch a ceramic bowl. He unsealed the jar, and the aroma immediately filled the air. His eyes sparkled with shock. Even Lu Yunyan sniffed and murmured, "Such a rich aroma." Shan Xiao added, "I forgot to tell you. I bought this from Xinglong Wine Shop in Ani Alley. The shopkeeper is Qingxiu's wife. She said this wine was discovered by Qingxiu during his ancestral rites at Qingming. He accidentally stumbled upon Peach Blossom Spring and tasted this wine." Peach Blossom Spring? Mr. Tu's strong body trembled, eyes filled with astonishment. He scooped a bowlful and drank deeply. "What a wine, an immortal brew," he exclaimed. "Such wine belongs in heaven, not in the mortal world. I have lived over 80 years, drunk countless wines, but this is the first time I have tasted such divine liquor." He must have been to that place. Otherwise, he could not have produced such wine. The story about stumbling into Peach Blossom Spring is just a cover for sourcing the wine, a smokescreen. Lu Yunyan raised an elegant brow and narrowed her seductive eyes. "Mr. Tu, if we can discover the path to that place through him, do not forget your promise to bring me and my disciple with you." "Of course," he replied. But as Mr. Tu turned to drink, his eyes glinted cold and sharp. Sanha village, inside the newly built distillery workshop. Over a dozen village men were working according to the blueprint, constructing fermentation vats and boilers for distillation. The Tang dynasty already possessed a rudimentary winemaking system, but it was still far from refined, especially in the area of distillation. The general winemaking process involved over a dozen steps: weighing, washing, soaking, placing in steamers, 3 steams and 3 beatings, cooling, fermenting, piling for heat preservation, transferring to vats, secondary fermentation, distillation, and blending. This system could directly produce high-proof spirits above 60 degrees. With secondary or even tertiary distillation, it might reach 80 to 90 degrees. Using a god's eye view like an anime to spy on the village had become a regular habit for Qingxiu. More than once, he had seen the young village girls squatting in the latrines. Of course, it was never intentional. Xuanzi came running to the distillery and, upon seeing Qingxiu, hurried over. "My lord, the young lady from the Zhangsun family is here. She is waiting outside your home." Qingxiu was puzzled. "Why is she here? Did she say what she wants?" Xuanzi shook his head. "No, I did not ask." "All right, I understand." Qingxiu got up and tapped his blind stick, heading back toward his home. The distillery was about 60 meters from the residence, but his god's eye view currently only covered around 40 meters. To observe the entire village, he still had a long way to go. A luxurious carriage was parked outside the gate. Zhang Sun Pingting stood by the door, dressed in a light green gown, hands behind her back, peeking inside. She was not tall, petite, and delicate. In terms of appearance, by Qingxiu's aesthetic standards, she scored about 90, on par with Yunyang. But compared to Li Lizhu, she was a bit lacking. Li Lizhu had exceptional genes and some mixed heritage. Her beauty was truly stunning, at least a 97. Hearing the tapping of the blind stick, Zhang Sun Pingting tiptoed to peer further. As Qingxiu approached, she patted her rising chest, blushing furiously, constantly reminding herself, "He is blind. He cannot see me blushing." Qingxiu smiled faintly and said, "From far away I smelled a refreshing fragrance. At first, it seemed familiar. It turns out to be the scent of Miss Zhang Sun." Zhang Sun Pingting's already blushing cheeks turned even redder, and she began to sweat slightly from her forehead. When a handsome man speaks such words, it is flirtation. When an ugly man does, it is perversion. Qingxiu belonged to the former. Even though she tried to stay calm, her voice still trembled slightly. "Mr. Qing, I apologize for the sudden visit. I hope it is not an inconvenience." Qingxiu smiled. "Whether it is or not, Miss Zhang Sun is already here. How could I refuse to receive you?" Zhang Sun Pingting opened her mouth slightly, then shyly rubbed her nose. Qingxiu asked, "To what do I owe the honor of your visit?" At this question, Zhang Sun Pingting became even more flustered. After swallowing nervously a few times, she finally composed herself. "Mr. Qing, there is a peach blossom grove by the midstream of Ba River. The peach blossoms are in full bloom this season. Would you be interested in going for a visit?" Qingxiu pointed at his blindfold with a strange expression. Zhang Sun Pingting turned beet red and quickly explained, "Forgive me, Mr. Qing. I misspoke. Not to see the blossoms, but to smell them." Qingxiu laughed heartily. "At the midsummer poetry gathering, you held my paper for me. I am already deeply grateful. Now that you invite me, how could I refuse? Then please get in the carriage, Mr. Qing." Zhang Sun Pingting, delighted, stepped forward to help him up. Qingxiu shook his head. "No need to ride together. You are not yet married. It would not be proper for a young woman to share a carriage with a man. People might talk. Xuanzi, he turned and said, go ask Erguzi and Taiju to prepare a carriage. You stay here and tell my lady that I went out for an outing. Understood, my lord. Xuanzi ran off to fetch Erguzi. Zhang Sun Pingting, whose face had just been flushed red, suddenly turned pale and furrowed her brow in distress. Mr. Qing, you are married? Qingxiu smiled gently, his tone affectionate. Yes, I have been married for over 3 months now. My wife is a few years older than you, but her personality is quite similar. Oh. Then congratulations, Mr. Qing. Zhang Sun Pingting forced a bitter smile. Her eyes reddened slightly, and she suddenly felt a sour sting in her nose. So, he was already married. Was this truly fate without destiny? She had already extended the invitation, it would not be appropriate to make up an excuse to cancel now. Besides, she was unwilling to miss this opportunity to spend time alone with him. Qingxiu had his own reasons for speaking as he did. He accepted the invitation to avoid offending her but also revealed his marital status early, hoping she would give up. If she still had other intentions, that would be beyond his control. Zhang Sun Pingting took a deep breath. Mr. Qing, I will board the carriage first. Once your carriage is ready, we can depart. Of course, Miss Pingting. She entered the carriage, and as soon as she sat down, tears fell like broken pearls onto her dress. So he is already married, she whispered, wiping her tears, thinking, father will be disappointed. Her father did not mind that Qingxiu was blind, but he would never allow her to become someone's concubine. For a girl from a noble family to become a concubine was a disgrace. Especially for someone like Zhang Sun Wuji, a renowned statesman and pillar of the court. Soon, the carriage was ready. Xuanzi solemnly warned, Erguzi, Taiju, you take care of the lord. If anything happens to him, I will personally kill you both. Erguzi scoffed, you? You think you can take both of us? Taiju grunted, if something happens to the lord, no need for you to act. I will find a crooked tree and hang myself from it. Satisfied, Xuanzi nodded. The carriage followed along to the midstream peach blossom grove by the Ba River. It was about 10 li from the village, a short trip of half an hour. The weather in late spring was perfect for an outing, and the grove's scenery was stunning. Many people came to enjoy the blossoms. There were young and old, even elderly men drinking deep within the grove. The carriage stopped outside the grove. Erguzi and Taiju trailed tens of meters behind, watching the surroundings alertly. Zhang Sun Pingting lowered her head in silence, brows furrowed, hesitant to speak. She remained quiet. Qingxiu chuckled, Miss Pingting, you invited me here, yet you have not said a word. Should you not at least say something, or else it becomes awkward? She gave a bitter smile. Mr. Qing, do you find being with me awkward? Qingxiu shook his head. I am thick-skinned, I feel no awkwardness. I only worry that you might. Well, it is a bit awkward, she said, blushing and lowering her head. In the distance, about 100 meters away, a girl suddenly tugged another girl's arm and said, Miss, look, is that not Mr. Qing? Where? Yan Yushi quickly looked up and scanned the area. Following Xiaozui's gaze, she saw Qingxiu with his black veil and smiled faintly, that must be Mr. Qing. Who else wears a black veil? Strange. Miss, why is he with a young lady? Could that be his wife? Yan Yushi furrowed her brows slightly and shook her head. Xiaozui tilted her head, surprised. Miss, look, someone chubby just went up to talk with them. Both saw it. A slightly chubby, short middle-aged man had approached Mr. Qing and the young lady and was chatting. Yan Yushi exclaimed in surprise, that is Lord Zhang Sun Wuji. During grandfather's birthday banquet, I saw him once. The man was Zhang Sun Wuji. Zhang Sun Wuji scrutinized Qingxiu carefully. Aside from his blindness, the man was excellent in every other aspect, handsome, upright in posture. If not for his eye condition, who knew how many families would dream of having him as their ideal son-in-law? Qingxiu had already noticed the unimpressive-looking fat man, but he had no idea who he was. Zhang Sun Pingting glanced at the man, silently pointed to her own face, and mouthed something. Zhang Sun Wuji nodded with a smile. Qingxiu was puzzled, were they playing charades? Did they really think he could not see? Feigning surprise, Zhang Sun Pingting said, Father, what brings you here? Zhang Sun Wuji replied, I had nothing to do and came to inspect our grain fields nearby. I happened to see you and came over. Pingting, who is this blind gentleman next to you? Qingxiu's mouth twitched. He silently cursed, these two must be plotting something. Zhang Sun Pingting said, Father, this is the very same Mr. Qing who won the top prize at the Midsummer Poetry Gathering. Zhang Sun Wuji acted surprised. So you are Qingxiu? I have long admired your poems and always hoped to meet you. To think you know my daughter, what a surprise. Qingxiu nodded. Qingxiu pays respects to Lord Zhangsun. Zhangsun Wuji laughed heartily and patted Qingxiu on the shoulder. No need for formality. I have heard your name frequently lately, even the court has discussed you on occasion. Especially yesterday, when you presented the techniques for movable type printing and refined steel to His Majesty. All the ministers were amazed. Lord Zhangsun flatters me. I am but a commoner. Zhangsun Wuji said, if even a marquis like you is a commoner, then the rest of us are nothing but straw. Your name echoes far and wide. May I ask why you are with my daughter? Qingxiu felt something was off, though he could not say exactly what. Zhangsun Pingting lowered her head and blushed. Father, I invited Mr. Qing to the peach blossom grove for a walk. Oh? Zhangsun Wuji raised an eyebrow and smiled. Pingting, do you perhaps fancy Mr. Qing? What surprised Zhangsun Wuji was that Pingting did not act shy. Instead, she frowned and said, Father, Mr. Qing and I are just ordinary friends. Zhangsun Wuji was stunned. He stared at his daughter. This was not the reaction he had planned for. Zhangsun Pingting looked downcast and softly said, Mr. Qing is so talented and the only marquis in the entire Tang court. Naturally, any girl would admire him. There are surely countless noble daughters in Chang'an who hold affection for him. But Mr. Qing is already married. Zhangsun Wuji's expression stiffened. Is that so? And whose daughter was fortunate enough to marry Mr. Qing? This was not going according to his carefully crafted script. Qingxiu smiled mildly. My wife is just an ordinary village girl. Zhangsun Wuji's eyes lit up, and he narrowed them with a smile. Mr. Qing, you are a marquis, such status demands a suitable match. A village girl, how can she be worthy of a man like you? Qingxiu frowned. What do you mean by that, Lord Zhangsun? Zhangsun Wuji chuckled. Mr. Qing, my sister and I are deeply favored by His Majesty. She is the Empress, and though our family may not be the highest nobility, we are royal relatives nonetheless. Just now, I sense my daughter may have some affection for you. What are your thoughts? Qingxiu finally understood what this father-daughter pair was up to. He shook his head. I have no such thoughts. Though I have read little, I know one principle: a wife taken in poverty must not be cast aside, nor should friendships formed in hardship be betrayed. Zhangsun Wuji grew displeased. Let us not talk of the world. Even in just Chang'an, many noble families would kill to be allied with the Zhangsuns. Are you truly not tempted? Marry into our family, and your status would rise even further. Aside from the royal family, none would dare disrespect you. Qingxiu frowned. It is not that Miss Pingting is unworthy. My wife and I met in times of hardship, and we've endured much together. Now that I am wealthy, how could I abandon her for another? Zhangsun Wuji impatiently replied, I am not telling you to abandon her, just to demote her to concubine. If you are unwilling, then so be it. Qingxiu's expression turned cold. Lord Zhangsun, I have treated you with respect. Though I am blind, I am not deaf to the tone of your words. If we are not of one mind, further talk is pointless. Take care, Lord Zhangsun. Farewell. Qingxiu gave a half-hearted bow, took up his blind stick, and left swiftly. Zhangsun Pingting said with concern, Mr. Qing, wait. My father was just impatient. He did not mean anything by it. Please do not be angry. Father, you spoke a bit harshly. Her tone carried a hint of reproach, but she dared not press too hard. Zhangsun Wuji's face darkened, and he snorted coldly. Ungrateful bastard. Pingting, you are not to associate with him again. But father, tears welled in Zhangsun Pingting's eyes, and she bit her lip in grievance. Pingting, we are going home. Zhangsun Wuji turned with a flick of his sleeves and walked off grimly. Zhangsun Pingting took one last deep look at Qingxiu's retreating figure, then followed her father with a heart full of sorrow. When Erguzi saw Qingxiu return so quickly, he asked, puzzled, My lord, what happened? You and Miss Pingting were talking so well, why are you back already? And who was that shady-looking fat man? Qingxiu muttered, that was Zhangsun Pingting's father, Zhangsun Wuji. Damn, that was Zhangsun Wuji? Looked like you two did not get along. Qingxiu shook his head. It is nothing. Let us go home. Taizhu scratched his head and grumbled, what the hell? That was the shortest date ever. Qingxiu kicked him. What date? Those two had it all planned. They invited me out to smell peach blossoms, but were really trying to marry me off to his daughter. Erguzi was stunned. My lord, that is a great thing. To marry into the Zhangsun family, you would be practically royalty. Qingxiu sneered, what do you know? Zhangsun Wuji is a cunning old bastard. He never makes a losing deal. He rushed to marry off his daughter to me, not knowing I was already married. For someone of his status, appearances are everything. He would never let his daughter become someone's concubine. He actually told me to divorce my wife and marry his daughter. The nerve. Taizhu was dumbfounded. Is his daughter that desperate to marry? Qingxiu said meaningfully, not desperate, he has another agenda. What agenda? Asked Erguzi. His family is in the steel business. Their biggest client is the royal court. Now that the court has the refined steel method, they do not need his steel anymore. That father and daughter came to trick the formula out of me. Erguzi sucked in a breath and cursed, what a shady old bastard. Not good looking and still full of schemes. Forget him. Let us head to Chang'an and check on the wine business. Qingxiu walked toward the carriage. Just then, a pleasant voice called out nearby, "Excuse me, are you Mr. Qing?" Qingxiu had already noticed the two young ladies, but he had not expected them to be looking for him. Though, he did not know who they were. "Master Qingxiu, what brings you here, and what business do these two young ladies have?" Qingxiu stopped walking, resting both hands on his bamboo staff as he addressed the two girls. At the same time, he carefully examined the two young women. The one in front was about 16 or 17 years old, with brows like distant mountains and eyes like blossoming peach petals. Her expression was refined with the grace of one immersed in books, her presence was noble, and her movements graceful and elegant. She was an extraordinary beauty, by his standards, a solid 93 or 94 out of 100. As for the maid behind her, she barely reached an 80, both in appearance and age, likely just 13 or 14, with a figure that lacked fullness in all areas. Yen Yushir, with her exquisite features, wore a gentle smile. Her hands rested delicately upon her full, tender chest as she gave a respectful bow and said, "I am Yushir Yen. Greetings to Master Qing." Qingxiu nodded. "Miss you and I have never met. How do you know my name?" Yen Yushir smiled softly. "I caught a glimpse of you at the midsummer poetry gathering. Your manner of dress stood out. I recognized you at once." That did not surprise him. "I see. Then may I ask what brings Miss you to seek me out?" Yen Yushir spoke in a soft voice. "Earlier, I saw Master Qing conversing with a young lady. I dared not interrupt. At first, I thought she might be your wife, but upon noticing the unpleasant nature of your exchange, I set aside that notion. At that midsummer poetry gathering, your poetic talent left a deep impression on me. I had long wished to become acquainted, but found no opportunity. Meeting you today by chance, perhaps it is fate. Forgive me for being so forward, Master Qing." Qingxiu's mood brightened considerably, hearing her speak so gracefully, then comparing it to how Changsun Wuji had behaved, it was like heaven and earth. Being around someone who spoke so pleasantly was, somehow, very uplifting. Qingxiu chuckled softly. "A woman should be reserved, yet Miss Shuryen has humbled herself to speak with me, how could I possibly take offense?" Yen Yushir smiled radiantly. "I have long admired your poetic talent, Master Qing. Might I impose upon you to offer me some instruction?" Qingxiu smiled and nodded. "When a beauty extends an invitation, how could I possibly refuse?" Yen Yushir looked surprised. "But Master Qing, you cannot see. How do you know whether I am beautiful or not?" Qingxiu explained, "Beauty lies within. Yours is not merely skin deep. Inner beauty is the truest kind." Yen Yushir's eyes sparkled with joy. "You flatter me, Master Qing. Please, come this way." Qingxiu turned back and called out, "Ergu, Taizhu, go amuse yourselves somewhere. Miss Shuryen and I have some deeper matters to discuss." Ergu and Taizhu had long since been dazed by Yen Yushir's beauty. Taizhu nodded eagerly. "Yes, yes, of course, my lord." Ergu added, "My lord, I'll let the madam know you won't be returning tonight and that she should not wait up." Qingxiu stumbled, nearly falling. Yen Yushir, beside him, blushed fiercely. Gathering her composure, she also sent her maid away. Then she and Qingxiu walked side by side deeper into the secluded peach grove. Qingxiu glanced around and nodded to himself. This 10-li stretch of peach blossoms was indeed an ideal place for some field maneuvers. "Miss Shuryen, how would you like my instruction?" In response, Yen Yushir pursed her lips. "I was inspired by the breathtaking view of the peach grove and composed a poem. I hoped you might offer your thoughts." "Oh? I would love to hear it." Yen Yushir hesitated for a moment, then softly recited. "In 10-li peach grove blossoms fill the sky. A spring breeze brushes gently in mid-April nigh. Beneath the trees, green grass like jade is spread, while on the boughs, peach blossoms blush deep red." Qingxiu secretly curled his lip, but outwardly clapped his hands. Excellent verse. Such a luscious, evocative poem. Yen Yushir's cheeks flushed pink. She half-joked, "Compared to your works, Master Qing, mine are like a child's drawing beside a master's painting. Please, do point out its flaws." Qingxiu said, "Though the poem is charming, your rhyming is somewhat forced. Sky, nigh, and red, they neither rhyme nor balance. The poem's structure is conventional and a bit too plain." "Then how should one structure a poem about peach blossoms?" she asked. Qingxiu shook his head. Though I cannot see this peach grove, I carry a world within my chest. A world within your chest? She repeated in awe. It means poetry comes from imagination, not merely describing what the eyes perceive. One must exaggerate to evoke grand images, that is how poetry stirs the soul. Yen Yushir, visibly excited, said, I have never heard such an insight. Could you explain more? Qingxiu smiled. Take the example of Mount Lu's waterfall, one might liken it to the Milky Way descending from the heavens, a cascade 3,000 feet high. Was it the Milky Way falling from the sky? Yen Yushir's jaw dropped so wide a whole egg could fit inside. Qingxiu continued, or to describe a tall pavilion, a perilous tower rising 100 feet, with hands plucking at the stars, we dare not speak aloud, lest we startle the gods above. Yen Yushir looked at him, stunned and awestruck. To describe snow-covered solitude, 1,000 mountains, no bird in flight, 10,000 paths, no trace of man. A lone boat, an old man in a bamboo hat and cloak, fishing in the snowy river alone. Qingxiu smiled faintly. Or right now, to exaggerate the beauty of the peach blossoms and nearby Ba River, the waters of Peach Blossom River are 1,000 feet deep, yet not as deep as Shurien's invitation to me. Yen Yushir's lips parted, then closed, then opened again, speechless from amazement. After a moment of dazed silence, her cheeks turned rose pink, and her eyes shone with a shy glow. The waters of Peach Blossom River are 1,000 feet deep, yet not as deep as Shurien's invitation to me. Master Qing, that was truly beautiful. Qingxiu replied, actually, long ago, many poets employed such exaggeration. Xiangyu was one of them, with his line, my strength can lift mountains, and my spirit dominates the age. What do you think? Yen Yushir's eyes sparkled like stars. She looked at him with boundless admiration and nodded. Yes, Master Qing, you are absolutely right. Could you perhaps compose a poem about peach blossoms using this exaggerated style? Qingxiu shook his head. Peach blossoms are more literal in nature. They lack the grandeur and scale for such lofty expression. At most, something like the scent of peach blossoms wafts through Chang'an might work. For flowers and trees, a narrative style suits best. Could you give an example? She pressed. Qingxiu thought for a moment, plucked a branch of peach blossoms, and said, in the southern land, the peach blossoms bloom. As spring arrives, they branch and plume. I hope you pick them while they're true. For this flower speaks of longing too. With that, he tossed the peach blossom branch to Yen Yushir. Yen Yushir murmured the lines back to herself, her expression tender. In the southern land, the peach blossoms bloom. How beautiful, Master Qing, your poetry is truly beautiful. Qingxiu waved his hand. That's enough for today. I am tired and heading home to rest. Without lingering, he turned and walked off. Yen Yushir rushed after him, blushing, and stammered, Master Qing, in a few days it will be my 16th birthday. Would you honor me by joining a boat outing on the lake at Hibiscus Garden? Without looking back, Qingxiu waved his hand. Send an invitation. If I am free, I shall come. Yen Yushir stood still, wanting to say more, her face filled with longing and disappointment. Just as she debated whether to chase after him to name a specific date, he suddenly spoke aloud. In Peach Blossom Dock stands Peach Blossom Cottage, where dwells the peach blossom immortal in solitude. He plants peach trees, and sells the blossoms for wine money. They mock me for madness, I mock their blindness. They do not see the tombs of fallen heroes, where there is neither flower nor wine, only toil in the fields. Even when Qingxiu and his carriage had disappeared, Yen Yushir was still lost in thought. Xiaocui had already come up beside her, nudging her with a hand as she giggled and said, Miss, you look like a love-struck flower spirit wandering into a sea of blossoms. Hee hee, flower crazy. Yen Yushir snapped back to herself, cheeks flaming red. This time, she did not scold her maid. Instead, she bit her lip, eyes filled with resolve. Xiaocui, let's go home. Right now. Half an hour later, she and Xiaocui returned to the Yen estate. They made their way directly to Yen Shirgu's study. Hearing movement, Yen Shirgu looked up in surprise. Did you not go for a walk through the peach grove? Why are you back so soon? Yen Yushir walked up to his desk, her eyes unwavering. Father, I want to marry Master Qing. Yen Shirgu nodded, then suddenly looked up as if he had seen a ghost. What did you say? I said I want to marry Master Qing. Yen Shirgu's face darkened. He said sternly, Yushir, do not speak nonsense. You know he already has a wife and a concubine. Yen Yushir bit her lip, her face stubborn. I do not care. I want to be his concubine. I will marry no one but Master Qing. If you and grandfather refuse, I would rather grow old and die a spinster in the Yen family than marry anyone else. Yen Shirgu was utterly stunned. Yan Shurgu looked solemnly at Yan Yushur and asked in a deep voice, Yushur, it has only been a few days since I last saw you, yet you seem like a completely different person. Can you tell your father what brought about such a change in your heart? Yan Yushur did not try to conceal anything and responded gently, since ancient times, beauties have admired heroes, and fair ladies have been paired with talented scholars. Though I dare not claim to be a national beauty, I believe I possess a fair degree of charm. Master Qing, in terms of talent, if not unprecedented, is certainly rare in this world. The other day, I encountered him by chance in the Tenli Peach Grove. After interacting with him, I realized he was far more learned and refined than I had imagined from the poetry gathering. He is a man of great substance. Being with him puts my heart at ease. To spend a lifetime with someone like Master Qing would never be lonely. I have come to admire his talent deeply, and so, I have offered him my heart. Anger surfaced on Yan Shurgu's face. He is merely the Marquis of Lan Tian. That day when we visited his residence, he claimed he had no intentions. So it was all pretense? He said one thing to us but secretly met with you in private. How can one be so dishonest? Yan Yushur quickly explained, Father, you misunderstand. I approached him under a false name. Master Qing does not even know my true identity. Yan Shurgu was taken aback. Yan Yushur bit her lip lightly, then knelt down on both knees, resting her palms on the floor before her forehead in a deep bow. I ask Father to fulfill my wish. Yan Shurgu helped her up, his expression complicated. Yushur, had you brought this up a few days earlier, things might still be manageable. Your grandfather and I could have used the momentum of Master Qing's victory at the poetry gathering to arrange the match, even if only as a concubine. But what? Yan Yushur asked, confused. Yan Shurgu's face turned bitter. Just after you left the house, an elder of the Wang clan from Taiyuan sent a formal request for marriage. He is currently at the post station. Your grandfather has already gone ahead to catch up with his old friend. Yan Yushur's face turned pale. She asked urgently, has grandfather agreed? Yan Shurgu shook his head. I do not know. But if the Wang elder is of such high status, why did father not accompany him? Yan Shurgu pointed to the books on his desk and smiled bitterly. His Majesty has ordered me to compile introductory textbooks. The draft is due in 3 days. Whether I can finish it in time is uncertain. I may not sleep for several nights. How could I find time to visit the post station? Yan Yushur urged, let me help you with the compilation. Father, you go to the post station. Do not let grandfather agree to the Wang family's proposal. Are you really capable of that? Yan Shurgu asked, unsure. If it is not well done, I will take full responsibility. You can rest assured, Father. Very well, then. Just as Yan Shurgu was about to leave for the post station, a servant came running in, panting. Master, the elder master has already invited the Wang elder into our house. The elder master asked me to inform you and meet him in the main hall. So soon? Yan Shurgu was surprised, then nodded. Understood. I will go immediately. Yan Yushur followed, her face determined. Father, I will come too. Yan Shurgu said nothing, walking directly toward the main hall, implicitly agreeing to let her come along. After some turns, the father and daughter arrived at the main hall. From within, the hearty laughter of old Master Yan Silu rang out, Haha, brother Buching, come, try this tea. It is called Jade Guanyin, sold at the Ani tea shop for 10 strings of coins per jean. Excellent, excellent. This tea leaves a lingering sweetness and its fragrance is refreshing and soothing. It is indeed fine tea. Wang Buching, in his 60s, was slightly younger than Yan Silu, dressed in a silver robe and appearing as a scholarly elder. After finishing their tea, the handsome young man beside Wang Buching promptly poured another cup for him. Yan Silu looked at the youth and nodded with satisfaction. I cannot believe it, Jinghuai has grown into a fine young man. Brother Buching, it has been 7 or 8 years since we last met, has it not? Wang Buching laughed. It has been 8 years. Brother Yan, you are still as impressive as ever. Yan Silu waved his hand. I am getting old. My body declines with each passing day. At that moment, Yan Shurgu entered the hall and respectfully greeted them. Greetings, father. Greetings, Elder Wang. Shurgu, you are growing more and more composed, Wang Buching said with a smile. Low EQ, you are old. High EQ, you are more composed. Wang Buching then waved to the youth behind him. Jinghuai, come and greet your uncle Shurgu. Wang Jinghuai bowed politely. Jinghuai greets uncle. Yan Yushur also entered, but she barely glanced at Wang Jinghuai before focusing her gaze on Wang Buching. She performed a graceful curtsy. Yushur greets Uncle Wang and Cousin Wang. Wang Buching looked surprised. You are Yushur? Yan Yushur nodded. 8 years ago, you were just a little girl chasing after your father. I did not expect you to have grown into a young woman. Yan Yushur thought to herself, is that not obvious? It has been 8 years. Of course, I grew up. What, should I have turned back into a fetus? Wang Jinghuai began scrutinizing Yan Yushur, his eyes gleaming with admiration and obvious amazement. Yan Silu smiled. Yushur, Jinghuai is 1 year older than you. He is from the main line of the Wang family and is highly esteemed in Taiyuan. He is one of the rare young talents of the city. You may take him around our courtyard. Wang Jinghuai was already eager. Yan Shurgu looked conflicted but said nothing. However, Yan Yushur shook her head. Grandfather, I came here for 2 reasons. First, to greet Uncle Wang. Second, to announce that I have decided to marry Master Qing. Yan Silu had just taken a sip of tea and nearly spat it out. His eyes widened, and he choked violently, causing Yan Shurgu to rush over and pat his back. Wang Wuqing furrowed his brow and gave Yan Silu a questioning look. Wang Jinghuai's eyelids twitched, and he suddenly said, Elder Yan, since Sister Yushur is already betrothed, why was this not mentioned in your letter? We came all the way from Taiyuan for this matter. Please explain. Silence. Wang Wuqing snapped. This is not your place to speak. Wang Jinghuai stepped back, visibly displeased. After some coughing, Yan Silu finally caught his breath and glared at Yushur. Yushur, what nonsense are you speaking? Was that not already resolved the other day? Why bring it up again now? Yushur was panicking inside. She had never once defied her family. But now, she had no choice. She bit her lip, clutching her dress tightly, and said with firm resolve, Grandfather, I have thought long and hard about this. I cannot let this matter stain the Yan family's reputation. So I choose to marry Master Qing. This way, not only will our family honor its word, but we will also earn a reputation for integrity. Yan Silu slammed the table in anger. You choose this exact moment to say this? Are you trying to send me to an early grave? Yushur lowered her head, full of guilt. If I do not say it now, it might be too late. Yan Silu was about to speak again but stopped and turned sharply to look at Yan Shurgu. Yan Shurgu avoided his gaze, then shifted his eyes to Yushur, his expression calm and unreadable. He was a broad-minded man. He had not married the one he loved, and that regret stayed with him his whole life. He did not want to see his daughter suffer the same fate. Wang Wuqing's face showed no emotion, but his voice was heavy. Brother Yan, I hope you will clarify this matter. I did not travel all this way just to be made a fool. Old Master Yan blushed with shame and briefly explained the situation. Then he said apologetically, Brother Wuqing, I never expected this from Yushur. It is a disgrace to our household. I am deeply sorry to have shamed you. Yan Yushur's face was full of grievance. Is pursuing her own happiness really a disgrace to the family? Wang Jinghuai clenched his fists, grinding his teeth. From the moment he saw her, he had been struck by her beauty. Just moments ago, he was overjoyed. Now, the cooked duck was about to fly away. Naturally, he was fuming inside. Wang Wuqing's expression was extremely grim. As a scion of the most prestigious lineage among the 5 surnames and 7 clans, the Wang clan of Taiyuan, face and reputation were of utmost importance. Yan Silu hurried to say, I can take full responsibility for this matter. I absolutely will not allow my younger brother and the Wang family to lose face. Father. Yan Shurgu took a deep breath and said, since Yushur already has someone she admires, why force her to miss her true love and regret it for the rest of her life? While it is said that marriages are arranged by parental command and matchmakers' words, as her father, I believe I should decide this matter. I ask Father to allow it. Having spoken, Yan Shurgu bowed deeply and solemnly. Yan Silu stared blankly at Yan Shurgu. As a family renowned for strict traditions, it was rare for a son to go against his father's will. No one knows a son better than his father. Since childhood, in Yan Silu's eyes, Yan Shurgu had always been a well-behaved child who followed his every word. But now, he chose to defy his father's decision. Yan Silu was not angry, rather, he was reflecting inwardly. For his son to go so far as to contradict him, there must be a reason behind it. Wang Wuqing responded in a sarcastic tone, Brother Yan, I have long heard of the Yan family's emphasis on family discipline. Now that I have seen it for myself, it is no exaggeration. I had thought such a trivial matter would be under your control, but evidently not. Very well then, let it be. At the side, Wang Jinghuai grew anxious. He stepped forward and said, Uncle Yan, I was smitten with Sister Yushur at first sight. If our families were to unite by marriage, it would indeed be a fine tale. I beg you to grant your blessing. Upon hearing this, Yan Yushur frowned slightly, a feeling of disgust arising within her. Wang Wuqing also grew displeased. Jinghuai, you are not a child anymore. How can you be so impatient? Your Uncle Yan has already given his daughter to someone else. Why persist? Wang Jinghuai replied confidently, "Grandfather, it is not that I insist without cause. The reason is that this Master Qing, whom Elder Yan spoke of, is said to be extraordinarily talented. It is understandable that Sister Yushur was moved by his talent. I may not be the most outstanding, but in Taiyuan, I am recognized as the leader among the 8 talents of Taiyuan. Uncle Yan, Sister Yushur, perhaps you are unaware, the 8 talents of Taiyuan are selected through scholarly competitions among Confucian scholars based solely on literary merit. As for this Master Qing you mention, he merely won a small poetry contest at Furong Garden and already thinks highly of himself. How can that compare to Taiyuan, the land of the Confucian elite? To me, he is nothing more than a frog at the bottom of a well, blind to the vastness of the sea." As he spoke, pride spread across Wang Jinghuai's face. Yan Yushur nearly ground her teeth into powder in anger. Her voice turned cold. "Since you are the heir of the prestigious Wang family and the leading scholar of the 8 talents of Taiyuan, why must you elevate yourself by belittling others? Does that not show an insecure heart?" In modern terms, Wang Jinghuai was the textbook definition of a sycophant, someone who attempts to win favor by putting others down, all while thinking it would impress the woman he admires. In reality, to the woman in question, such behavior was utterly repulsive. "Insecure? Me?" Wang Jinghuai sneered. "Sister Yushur, have you ever read the essay, The Old Grain Seller?" Yan Yushur nodded. "Yes. It tells the story of an old man who toils all year farming. After paying taxes and rent, he takes the little grain he has left to sell so he can afford medicine. He recovers, only to freeze and starve to death one cold night." Wang Jinghuai looked pleased. "That essay was written by me. It is what earned me the title of first of the 8 talents of Taiyuan." His demeanor screamed, "Come, worship me." Yan Yushur sneered. "Then have you heard the lines? Hoeing grain beneath the noon sun. Sweat drips down to the soil below. Who knows that every bowl of rice is the fruit of hardship and woe?" Wang Jinghuai furrowed his brow. "I have heard it, somewhere in Guangzhou, children chant it like a nursery rhyme." Yan Yushur's disdain only deepened. "Then have you heard? The edge of a treasured sword comes from constant honing. The fragrance of plum blossoms arises from bitter cold? Or, the mountain of books has a path of diligence. The sea of learning is crossed by hard work?" Wang Jinghuai began trying to recall. "I have not heard those, but these poems are excellent." Even Wang Buqing could not help but exclaim, "Truly excellent poetry, each line encapsulates the truth that success comes only from great effort." Yan Yushur continued, "And what of these lines? One day a mighty wind will rise, and lift me 9,000 li into the skies. Laughing boldly, I stride out the gate. How could I be one of the common crowd?" In recent days, she had committed Qingxiu's poems to memory, nearly to the point of reciting them backward. "Bold and heroic, what a poem," someone said. Yan Yushur stood tall. "Then have you heard? In Peach Blossom Dock stands Peach Blossom Cottage, beneath which dwells the Peach Blossom Immortal. Others laugh at my madness. I laugh at their blindness. Do they not see the graves of ancient heroes? Who died without wine or flowers, tilling barren fields? And have you heard? In the southern land bloom peach blossoms bright. When spring arrives, they bud with light. Pick them now while they are still true. This flower carries longing too." Or, "The towering tower rises 100 feet. One could pluck the stars by hand. We dare not speak too loud, lest we startle the gods above." Or, "A waterfall plunges 3,000 feet. Could it be the Milky Way descending from heaven?" Her heart raced, her face flushed red, but the contempt in her eyes was unmistakable. Both Wang Buqing and Wang Jinghuai were dumbstruck. As members of a prestigious Confucian clan, they could not fail to recognize the brilliance of these poems. Any one of them could stand the test of time and be passed down for generations. Even Yan Silu and Yan Shirgu were stunned. They had never heard the later poems before, but they exuded an extraordinary aura. Yan Yushur felt deeply satisfied. Finally, she had her moment of triumph. She bowed gracefully. "Elder Wang, young Master Wang, these poems were all composed by Master Qing. Especially the last few, which he has never published for fame or recognition. Unlike certain individuals, who boast endlessly about a single essay and believe themselves the greatest scholar under heaven." Wang Buqing rose in shock. "All these poems were written by that Master Qing?" Wang Jinghuai's face darkened. Who knows if he plagiarized them? With so many outstanding poems, if he truly wrote them, would he not already be renowned throughout the empire? Due to poor transportation and slow information flow in that era, it could take months for a work to spread across the Tang Empire. Yan Yushur curled her lip with disdain. "Just because you cannot write them does not mean others cannot. If you do not believe it, go ask around the streets of Chang'an, who has not heard these poems?" Uncle Wang, young Master Wang, I just remembered I have other matters to attend to. Please excuse me. With that, she bowed and withdrew swiftly to her chamber. She walked with an unmistakable spring in her step, her rosy face glowing with satisfaction. If one does not leave after making their point, then when should they? Though the ancients would not have called it showing off, they would have understood it as vindication and triumph. A short while later, Wang Wuqing left the Yan residence with Wang Jinghuai. After stepping outside, Wang Jinghuai, scowling, grabbed a servant by the collar. Go find out who this Master Qing really is. Report back only after you have the full story. Wang Wuqing did not stop him. He merely turned to glance at the Yan estate's name plaque, snorted, and boarded the carriage. Inside the main hall, Yan Silu said unhappily, Shirgu, you have made things very difficult for me today. Yan Shirgu knelt before him. Father, I have never gone against your will. But regarding Yusher's marriage, please allow me to decide this once. Yan Silu sighed. Stand up. If I meant to punish you, I would have already done so. Now tell me your reasoning. Yan Shirgu rose and shook his head. There is no reasoning. I just do not want my daughter to live with regret. What if she has chosen wrong? Yan Shirgu smiled faintly. Children must walk their own path. If Yusher has chosen poorly, that is her burden. Very well, very well. Yan Silu nodded repeatedly. In that case, even if offending the Wang family brings trouble, at least we have a justification. It may not be a strong one, but it is better than none. This young Master Qing's poetic talent aside, his proposals for movable type printing and steel refining are of immense value to the world. His conduct also seems steady. If we must offend the Wang family, so be it. It is not as if we are particularly close. Shirgu, choose an auspicious day and send a formal invitation. You are now fully in charge. I will stay out of it. Watching Shirgu leave, Yan Silu suddenly felt an urge to pass the title of patriarch on to him.
Did you enjoy the story, guys? I hope you did. Support this video with a like and a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.